Chapter 1203. This night, Chu Yang was simply like a dream or a fantasy. Even until now he still felt like he was dreaming. He really didn't expect that Tai Butian, as the empress of a generation, would actually be completely clueless about what happened under the bed. She hadn't even heard of it before. Therefore this night was completely led by Chu Yang. No matter what Chu Yang said, she only needed to say, "Isn't this how it is between husband and wife?" This was very normal, so Tai Butian did as she was told. And she was even afraid that she didn't do a good job and couldn't serve him as well as other women served their husbands. She was still very nervous and asked Chu Yang shyly, "Can I?" Chu Yang had an extremely comfortable night, and it was also extremely satisfying. But now that the passion had subsided, Tai Butian fell into a deep sleep. Looking at the beautiful woman in his arms, Chu Yang's heart suddenly became heavy. Tai Butian didn't understand and Chu Yang found it strange. But when he thought carefully about Tai Butian's background, he completely understood. This empress of a generation who dominated the world, an unparalleled beauty, behind that limitless glory, was an extremely tragic background and a pressure that was as heavy as heaven and earth. Although limitless glory, she was really very pitiful. Because of politics, she lost her mother, sister and all her relatives. Because of war, she lost her father. Because of the kingdom's politics, she had no friends. Because of the pressure, she had no childhood. And now, because of him, she first gave herself and then hid her love. She even became a single mother. If it were any other woman, even if she was mentally strong, she would probably have broken down long ago. But Tai Butian bore it all alone all the way until now. Chu Yang looked at the woman sleeping peacefully in his arms. That completely relaxed and unreserved expression of trust made his heart ache. In this life, ever since he became the empress, how many days of bliss had she had? Even during that period of time when she had feelings for him and developed feelings for him, she probably didn't feel much sweetness. Because at that time he still didn't know that she was a woman. Naturally, he also didn't know that there was a young girl's heart beating for him. Or maybe there was. At the moment when the child was in his arms. Or maybe now, after he came here. After everything was revealed, when she felt that his heart was open to her. Unfortunately, even if there was, it was also so little and so short. What could he give her? Chu Yang sighed lightly. He pulled Tai Butian's delicate body into his arms again and lowered his head. Looking at this peaceful and blissful face, he couldn't help but lower his head and kiss the tip of that perky nose again. Tai Butian murmured and moved a little in his arms. Her rosy lips moved a little, but she didn't open her eyes. She merely shifted into a more comfortable position. She continued to sleep soundly on his shoulder. Tai Butian slept all the way until noon. In all these years, there had never been a night where he could sleep as comfortably and relaxed as tonight. He didn't even have a single dream the entire night. When he woke up, he blinked his sleepy eyes and was about to get up when he suddenly realized that he was still naked. Tai Butian was completely naked. She couldn't help but feel embarrassed as she recalled the events of last night. Tai Butian's starry eyes flickered as she bit her lip in embarrassment. She spat lightly. Seeing that Chu Yang had fallen asleep right beside her, Tai Butian's heart was suddenly filled with boundless happiness and satisfaction. This bastard. Truly fierce. Last night he made her throw away her armor. She couldn't help but feel like biting Chu Yang when she recalled all those strange positions and methods that Chu Yang had suggested. But when she lowered her head, it turned into a light kiss. I, Tai Butian, can be considered a complete and happy woman from today onwards. Looking at the red candles on the table and the red carpet on the floor, Tai Butian's gaze became blurry. For the first time in more than 10 years, this was the first time she had such thoughts of, the bed is so comfortable, I don't want to get out of bed. She felt extremely sluggish and couldn't help but want to lie down again. Right at this moment she saw Chu Yang's tightly shut eyes move, as if he was about to wake up. Tai Butian hurriedly put her head back to its original position and closed her eyes. This fellow had indeed woken up. Actually, he had already woken up when Tai Butian woke up. But he just pretended not to open his eyes. Opening his eyes, Chu Yang muttered to himself, "This pretty girl hasn't woken up yet. What a little pig." Tai Butian closed her eyes and scolded in her heart, "You're the pig." But she felt a chill on her body. Someone had lifted the blanket and was looking at her body wantonly. Tai Butian didn't dare to open her eyes anymore. What a pretty little pig. Someone muttered to himself. Tai Butian felt a pair of hands roaming around her body again. This pair of hands seemed to have magical powers. Wherever they went, there would be a scorching heat. Although her eyes were still closed, her face was already flushing uncontrollably. She hasn't woken up yet? That's good, I'll secretly do it first, someone muttered to himself. The next moment, Tai Budian felt someone gently climb up her body again and then, "You, what are you doing?" The emperor opened her eyes hurriedly, somewhat flustered. Her body was still limp from last night. Why was he doing it again? Chu Yang was already on top of her body. With a lewd smile, he said, "Your Majesty, I'm here to serve you, outside the Forbidden City, in Prime Minister Wang's house. Her Majesty has adjourned the morning court." Chapter 1204. He agreed to come so easily? Lan Rua looked at the blue-robed man in front of him, somewhat surprised. For the Lan clan to lie in ambush here and wait for the heir to appear before inviting them in person was undoubtedly the last resort, since they had no way of contacting the upper three heavens. However, Lan Rua himself also admitted that there were other ways to ease the tension in this matter. For example, sending a message, sending a letter secretly by flying sword, or sending an invitation. These were all methods commonly used by people in the martial world or ordinary people. As for inviting him face to face, it was equivalent to directly telling the other party, "We know you are here and we also know who you are. Therefore you must fly here." It was more or less like forcing yourself on him and threatening him. Also, it was a show of force. Lan Rua knew himself very well. He was just a little uncomfortable about the matter between Chu Yang and Tai Budian, so he wanted to suppress Chu Yang a little. But when it came to jealousy, it was far from that. Lan Rua had always been proud and arrogant. When he made the decision, he knew that such an invitation might leave a bad impression on the other party, which might not be beneficial to his plan. But even though he knew, he still didn't change his mind. Because he was confident. The heavens are sealed, of course we can't go up. But you Chu Yang are the same as us. We are all in the lower three heavens. You can't fly anywhere either. And on my side there are several supreme martial artists and martial saints here. No matter how powerful you are, I can always suppress you. And in a place like the lower three heavens, if such an expert wants to find someone, there is really nowhere to hide. So Chu Yang, you can't run away either. Of course, the Lan clan's first priority was to befriend the Tribulation Sword Master. Because by befriending the Tribulation Sword Master, the Lan clan could continue to enjoy 10,000 years of glory. There were two ways to solve the Lan clan's crisis. The first was to kill the Tribulation Sword Master. The second was to befriend him. But was it better to kill or to befriend him? That was a question that even a fool could answer. If you befriend this person, your clan could enjoy 10,000 years of glory. If you killed him, you could only protect the riches in front of you. Then was it better to kill or to befriend him? As long as he wasn't a pig. There was no such question. Since they knew who the Tribulation Sword Master was, of course they had to befriend him. And they had to be careful not to act rashly. If the other party really didn't know what to do, it wouldn't be too late to kill him then. But before that, not to mention killing, he had to be careful with his words. Even if there was only the slightest chance of befriending him, he would still have to put in 100,000 points of effort. The greatest power of the Calamity Sword Master was that before his wings were fully developed, he was extremely mysterious. No one knew who he was. Now that he knew how to do it, was it up to him? Therefore Lan Ruaxin was also very certain. Therefore this impolite invitation was sent out just like that. In his mind, after Chu Yang received such an invitation, Chu Yang would definitely not be able to do anything. He would definitely be fearful, panicked, and furious. He had thought of all kinds of possibilities, but this was the only one he hadn't thought of. The other party accepted it very calmly. Furthermore, he even specifically instructed that this banquet could not be too shabby. This made Lan Rua feel as if he had punched a pile of cotton. Alright, let me see what kind of person this Calamity Sword Master is. Lan Rua put his hands behind his back and stood at the edge of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, facing the lake. He muttered to himself in a low voice. Suddenly he felt a sense of exhilaration as if he had met his match. On the other side, Chu Yang was also thinking, this Duke Lan is obviously threatening me. Ah, just as well. If you didn't come looking for me, I would have gone looking for you. Anyway, my relationship with the Lan clan is already so bad that it can't be salvaged. It's rare that there's a guy like you who's secluded in the lower three heavens who doesn't know anything and comes here to be slaughtered. If I don't take this opportunity to slaughter you, how can I live up to the painstaking arrangements made by Lan Meixian and the Lan clan? As for threatening me, I don't even care about the elder master of the Lan clan, much less a little bastard like you. And a blind and deaf idiot at that? The sky was already dark. Lanterns were lit everywhere in Ironcloud Citadel and people were coming and going. The flow of people was endless. There were very few disturbances. It was obvious that under Tai Butian's rule, Ironcloud Citadel was very peaceful. The people were kind and simple. Everyone went about their own business and didn't interfere with each other. The entire Tianyun restaurant was booked. Other customers were not allowed to enter. Everyone was guessing which bigwig was going to give a treat. He actually booked the best restaurant in Ironcloud Citadel. What kind of earth-shattering figure was he going to invite? Lan Rua, dressed in a blue robe, stood in front of the restaurant to welcome the guests. His expression was calm and natural. One look and you could tell that he was free and easy. He was like a dragon or a phoenix. Along the way, the young ladies who passed by kept stealing glances at each other. What a handsome young man. It's really a pity that he's not a prostitute. Behind him, 2 first-grade supreme martial artists stood quietly. For the Lan clan to put up such a lineup to welcome the guests was already an exception. After several trips of defecation, I actually couldn't stop it. It's all watery. How embarrassing, haha. Brother Lan, is the meal ready? Lan Rua's expression was very interesting. Looking at this glib-tongued tribulation sword master in front of him, he had mixed feelings for a moment. His Adam's apple moved up and down along with his throat. He almost wanted to vomit. I invited you here for a meal, but before we started eating, you actually explained to me about laxatives and defecation? Who the fuck would be able to eat this? He even felt like throwing up. Not late. As long as you can come, I don't mind waiting for 3 days and 3 nights. Lan Rua smiled lightly and said. He had originally wanted to say this enthusiastically, but when the words were at the tip of his tongue, that, enthusiastically, emotion couldn't be aroused no matter what. Besides, if he opened his mouth too wide, he had the urge to vomit immediately. Thus, he could only say it so indifferently. Chuyang laughed loudly. Brother Lan is too polite. If I had known that Brother Lan would actually stand here for so long just to wait for me, I would have held it in no matter what. It's all my fault. Talking about defecation before eating, isn't this insulting? Luckily Brother Lan is magnanimous and doesn't mind. As he spoke, he grabbed Lan Rua's hand and shook it enthusiastically. At the same time, Chu Yang's gaze was a little strange and heavy. He glanced at Lan Rua's neck and then returned to normal. Lan Rua's expression was a little stiff. Looking at Chu Yang's hand, he thought of how this pair of hands had just wiped his butt countless times. Why was he suddenly grabbing his hand now? For a moment, a certain smell seemed to assail his nostrils. Lan Rua's expression was a little forced as he forcefully retracted his hand. Since Brother Chu is here, please take a seat upstairs. He felt extremely depressed. How am I supposed to eat this meal? It's already good enough that I don't throw up. Chu Yang held Lan Rua's hand tightly and said emotionally, Brother Lan, you're so righteous. Brother Lan, the moment I saw you, I felt like we were old friends. It seems like I've already known you many years ago. Today, you and I must drink to our heart's content and not return until we're drunk. Come, let's walk arm in arm. He actually pulled Lan Rua along and walked up. Lan Rua took a deep breath and suppressed the restlessness in his stomach. Smiling, he said, Since that's the case, Brother Chu, please? Yes. We're all on the same side, don't stand on ceremony. And these two, are your attendants? Go feed my horse first. This horse is a good one, you can't neglect it. What? You don't believe me? Look at this horse's mane, it's just like Duke Lan's hair, shiny and shiny. Chapter 1205. The 2 first-grade supreme martial artists were instantly depressed. Since when did we become followers? And followers with such low status at that? Lan Rua's face darkened. The horse's mane is the same as my hair? Then what am I? Chu Yang, on the other hand, laughed and held Lan Rua's hand affectionately. The two of them walked up hand in hand. Seeing the two of them walking over hand in hand, the 2 supreme martial artists of the Lan clan smiled bitterly. After instructing the waiter of the restaurant to take care of this good horse, they shook their heads and followed. Lan Ruaxin understood it like a mirror. This person was Chu Yang, the king of Hell Chu whom the Ironcloud nation claimed to be dead. Now that he had reappeared here and was even staying overnight in the palace, it was obvious that this king of Hell Chu was Tai Butian's lover. And according to Lan Meixian, that heavy pill was most likely given to Tai Butian by her lover. Then king of Hell Chu was most likely the Tribulation Sword Master. Not only Lan Rua, but even the 2 supreme martial artists behind him were also very clear-headed. Although this king of Hell Chu appeared to be courteous and cordial on the surface, as if he was about to reunite with his family after a long separation, in fact, he was extremely dissatisfied with the Lan clan's invitation this time. Otherwise, no matter how dissatisfied he was, he wouldn't have said such unbearable things in front of the people who were treating him before the meal. This was obviously a deliberate act of disgust. And it was disgust in all aspects. Moreover, his demeanor revealed a sense of fearlessness. This meant that he had already understood the purpose of the Lan clan waiting here. This was equivalent to indirectly admitting his identity as the Tribulation Sword Master. This gave them unlimited hope. Even if Lan Ruo was on the verge of exploding with anger, he definitely wouldn't dare to say anything that would offend him. Lan Ruoxin was indeed aggrieved and quite aggrieved. The entire clan had spent so much effort and time to set up such a plan. No matter from which aspect she had taken the initiative. But when this king of Hell Chu came, and he used such a disgusting method. He didn't say a single word, but everything was clearly telling him, "You are here, I know. Why are you looking for me? I know. I know your ultimate purpose too. So, I have the final say. You are begging me, not threatening me. You'd better understand this point." He used such a disgusting hooligan method to completely take the initiative. Moreover, Lan Ruo was willing to swallow this grievance without being able to do anything about it. When they finally arrived at the room, the two old men inside stood up with a smile to welcome them. Only then did Chu Yang let go of Lan Ruo's hand. Only then did Lan Ruo introduce him with a face full of smiles. "Brother Chu, this is the 10th generation elder of our Lan clan." Orchid heart painting. He paused and said meaningfully, "Old ancestor heart painting is currently middle stage supreme martial artist cultivation." This was vaguely oppressing. Moreover, he had the intention of testing Chu Yang. It was because Lan Ruo had discovered something. He couldn't see through Chu Yang's cultivation. If one were to say that Chu Yang's cultivation was higher than his, Lan Ruo wouldn't believe it no matter what. Therefore, if Chu Yang's cultivation was too low, it would be revealed immediately after these words were spoken. There wasn't a single person in Jianghu who wasn't sensitive to the word supreme. Chu Yang's heart skipped a beat. He held Lan Ruo's hand enthusiastically and shook it repeatedly. "Elder Lan, I've heard so much about you. It's my honor to meet you today." This was the most common greeting and also the most insincere greeting in Jianghu. Now Chu Yang said it smoothly without any pause. It was obvious that there wasn't even the slightest bit of sincerity in it. The smile on Lan Ruo's old face was especially bright. "Minister Chu, you don't have to be so polite. It's only after meeting Minister Chu today that I know that we are already old. The Jianghu is now the world of the young." Lan Ruo smiled and continued to introduce the second person. There were 5 people from the Lan clan in the room. They were all famous experts. Towards Chu Yang's impoliteness, they didn't show the slightest bit of anger. This is the 25th generation elder of the Lan clan, Lan Qingfeng. Elder Qingfeng is now a 3rd-grade supreme martial artist. Lan Ruo smiled amiably. His posture was as impeccable as a textbook aristocrat. "Elder Lan, I've heard so much about you. It's my honor to meet you today." Chu Yang's voice was sincere and clear. This was what he said when he met that person. Now that he met this person, he actually repeated it again. The charm of this was too profound. Lan Qingfeng's face couldn't help but twitch. He smiled and said, "Minister Chu is young and promising, tall and handsome. It's you who makes me hear so much about you." Chu Yang laughed. "You flatter me. You flatter me." Unexpectedly, he accepted the compliment without any trace of politeness. Lan Ruo only felt a breath stuck in his throat. At this moment he suddenly regretted it a little. He really shouldn't have forced himself to invite Chu Yang here. He should have used a gentler method. This fellow was obviously taking revenge. But there was no use in regretting it now. He didn't expect this fellow to be so mischievous. He didn't even care about 2nd-grade supreme martial artists who could turn the world upside down. These two are the 43rd generation elders of the Lan clan, Lan Moyun and Lan Moshui. Both of them are 1st-grade supreme martial artists. Lan Ruo's introduction was already a little weak. "Aya." The 2 elders Lan. Chu Yang opened his eyes wide enthusiastically. Then his tone changed. He gained the upper hand by a show of strength right from the start. He didn't hesitate to belittle himself just to vent his anger. He basically expressed Chu Yang's attitude, "I'd rather die in glory than live in dishonor." It was very clear and obvious. At this moment, if he didn't lower his head, there was no way to continue the conversation. He could imagine that when the dishes were served later, Chu Yang would still talk about his experience with diarrhea and there wouldn't be any progress in the conversation. Not to mention any cooperation. Admit defeat? What I want is for you to admit defeat. If you don't admit defeat, I don't know what to do next. Chu Yang looked at Lan Ruo with some surprise on his face. He slowly smiled and said, since Brother Lan has said so, then I won't say any more. Actually, he was moved. It seemed that the Lan clan didn't have any ability to transmit any information when the heavenly passageway was sealed. In that case, other clans couldn't do it either. Therefore they probably didn't know that hundreds of Lan clan experts were wiped out in Tianji City. In other words, now, no matter from which aspect, he was the only one who knew the inside story. He had the complete initiative. In that case, weren't these people waiting to be slaughtered by him? The smile on King of Hell Chu's face instantly became warm and friendly. Since he had spoken, the atmosphere instantly became harmonious. Everyone chatted and laughed, talking about interesting things in the martial world. From time to time they would laugh knowingly. Not long after the dishes were served, the Lan clan eagerly urged Chu Yang to drink. Chu Yang didn't reject anyone. There were only 5 dishes, but the atmosphere was already in full swing. Everyone looked as if they regretted not having met earlier. The Lan clan realized that as long as Chu Yang didn't mean to disgust people, he was actually a very interesting guy. Of course, as they talked, the topic gradually changed. One doesn't visit a temple without a cause. Minister Chu must know why we're here. Lan Ruo smiled warmly and filled Chu Yang's cup with wine. Chapter 1206. Chu Yang's words seemed to be a joke, but at the same time, it didn't seem to be. But these few people from the Lan clan were obviously very well-mannered. Upon hearing this, they all burst out laughing as if Chu Yang had said an extremely interesting joke. But everyone's heart skipped a beat. They knew that from the moment Chu Yang sat down until now, the initiative of the Lan clan had rapidly slipped into Chu Yang's hands. And he was getting more and more comfortable with it. Now that things had come to this, it would probably be difficult for them to reverse the passive situation they were in today. This time, the Lan clan had no choice but to do this. Lan Ruo said sincerely, Brother Chu, please be understanding. Chu Yang knew that he was talking about the Lan clan arranging for people to wait for more than a year in advance. He waved his hand and said, let's not talk about this anymore. I still have to thank all of you for protecting Iron Cloud. Lan Ruo chuckled. His eyes flickered slightly. He gulped down a few more cups of wine. Under the influence of alcohol, he said either intentionally or unintentionally, I really didn't expect that King of Hell Chu, who single-handedly overturned the universe back then, is actually the Tribulation Sword Master whose name shook the world and dominated the destiny of the heavens. This is really a shocking event. Chu Yang smiled lightly and didn't say anything. But he knew that the highlight of the day was finally here. Seeing that Chu Yang didn't deny it, the few people from the Lan clan's eyes lit up and they exchanged glances. Looks like it should be him. Lan Xinhua smiled and said, Ru-er is still a little young. Actually, you should have thought about it long ago. Other than the Tribulation Sword Master, who else in this world can achieve such a shocking reversal of the situation of 2 big countries when he's powerless? Elder Master is right. Lan Ruo laughed. Chu Yang smiled bitterly and went into a daze. Looking at his expression, it seemed that he wanted to say something but held back. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. He picked up his wine cup and took a sip. His gaze was deep in thought. Faintly. There was also some confusion on his face. Lan Ruo, Lan Xinhua and the others were all stunned. They vaguely felt that something was wrong with Chu Yang. Sure enough, the next moment, Chu Yang sighed bitterly. Lan Ruo's eyes flashed and he laughed. Brother Chu, one must enjoy life to the fullest. Why are you sighing? Chu Yang smiled and said with some self-mockery, Tribulation Sword Master? Ah, what a great reputation. Lan Ruo, Lan Xinhua and the others exchanged glances, their hearts thumping wildly. Chu Yang stretched out his right hand and a clang sound was heard. A sword. It appeared in his hand just like that. The sword light was awe-inspiring and brilliant just like the Sword Emperor. Sovereign's Descent. Calamity Sword. The 5 of them cried out in their hearts. Their eyes were burning as they looked at the sword. Their gazes were filled with fervor and reverence. Chu Yang's identity as the Sword Master. He could finally confirm it. This year's worth of preparations had finally not been in vain. At this moment all 5 of them had the same thought. No one noticed that the moment the Calamity Sword appeared, a colorless and odorless mist melted into the dishes on the table. The fog had completely dissipated. Chu Yang let out a long sigh. With a flip of his hand, he put away the sword of calamity, looking desolate. He said, "It's true that this thing is a treasure. Since none of you are outsiders and you know who I am, I won't hide anything from you. However, what you don't know is the identity of the Master of Calamity Sword. It's really the biggest trap in all of history." The biggest trap in all of history? Lan Ruo and the others were stunned. That's right. Chu Yang drank a cup of wine and said bleakly, "It's true that the Calamity Sword can rule the world. However, without power, even with the Calamity Sword, what is it? What use is it? I only found out after I got the Calamity Sword. There is also a backlash." Backlash? Lan Ruo and the others were shocked. There was a backlash from the Calamity Sword? This was the first time they had heard of it. It was indeed mysterious. That's right. The Calamity Sword has a mission. Once it recognizes its master, it starts immediately. If it can't complete it, its soul will dissipate and it will never be able to reincarnate. Chu Yang's expression was solemn. It's like a whip, lashing the sword master forward. However, to complete the mission, one has to unify the heavens. And to unify the heavens, one has to face the big clans. That's practically impossible. Lan Ruo comforted him sincerely. There will always be a way. It's difficult. Chu Yang let out a bitter laugh. The five of them felt as if their hearts were on fire. Difficult? It's precisely because you think it's difficult that we can do things easily. There's nothing difficult in this world. As long as you put your heart into it, there's nothing you can't do. Lan Ruo comforted him. Brother Chu, there's no need to be anxious. You will succeed. How difficult? Chu Yang only shook his head. Brother Chu, this. Lan Ruo felt that the time was about right. He decided to go straight to the point. Brother Chu, we can work together. He looked at Chu Yang's face. And Brother Chu should also be able to guess that the reason why we have been planning for so long in the lower three heavens is to work together with Brother Chu. This is the only reason. Chu Yang sighed. Of course I know. It's just that this matter is extremely dangerous. Even if the Lan clan helps me, the final outcome is very likely to implicate your entire clan. Brother Lan, you have to be careful about this matter. Lan Ruo smiled confidently and said, Brother Chu, you don't have to worry about this. How can one who wants to achieve great things not have any sacrifices? He paused for a moment and asked somewhat anxiously, but how many brothers does the Lord Swordmaster already have? Chu Yang revealed a warm smile and said, at the moment there are already 7. There were still 2 places left. Lan Ruo was elated. At the same time he was also scared. So fast. Ever since the appearance of the heavenly phenomenon Tribulation Swordmaster, it had only been 2 years and there were already 7 tribulations. If he was slower by a step, then he wouldn't even be able to catch up to the heat. The eyes of Lan Xinhua and the others also lit up at the same time. There was really hope for the Lan clan. Lan Ruo wanted to suppress the excitement in his heart, but he couldn't hold it in anymore. He raised his cup and said, if Brother Chu doesn't mind, I am willing to follow you and accompany you to create great things together. Chu Yang pondered and didn't speak for a long time. Everyone didn't rush him and just waited quietly. However, everyone held their breaths. Chu Yang's reaction was very normal. Everyone was very assured. On the contrary, if Chu Yang agreed without hesitation, everyone would be worried. Tribulation. How could it be decided so easily? After a long while, Chu Yang smiled awkwardly and said, Brother Lan has really given me a difficult problem. The few brothers in the past all got to know each other unintentionally and then went through trials and tribulations together for a long time before they acknowledged each other. Brother Lan is really the first to directly bring it up like this. Chu Yang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Lan Ruo also smiled bitterly and said, I don't have a choice either. Brother Chu should understand my difficulties. Chu Yang nodded. Of course I understand. But, this matter, can you let me think about it for a while? Anyway, we can't go up now. Let's just play around in the lower 3 heavens and make a decision after a period of time. How about that? Lan Ruo was overjoyed. That would be the best. He knew that since Chu Yang had said so, he basically wouldn't reject him. The following period of time would just be a test for him and it would depend on his performance. Lan Xinhua and the others were also relieved at once. Speaking of social performance, how could Lan Ruo, as the #1 Duke of the Lan clan, be bad? After such a long time, if he still couldn't get Chu Yang's approval after deliberately trying to befriend him, then Lan Ruo should really buy a piece of tofu and kill himself. The atmosphere that followed was really lively. Everyone shook their cups and ate and drank to their heart's content. Their choice of words also seemed a lot more intimate. Lan Rua's performance was definitely praiseworthy. He didn't appear to be very eager or fawning. Instead, he was very sincere. Compared to earlier, there was obviously more closeness. However, he gave others a kind of feeling, I am me, I am one of a kind. This kind of feeling was the most pleasing to the eye. Lan Rua naturally had his own plans. Looking at the current situation, I naturally have the confidence to become one of the tribulations. However, there are also big and small tribulations. How should I raise my status and strive to become one of the top 3? Or rather, become the leader of the tribulations. That way, in the future, I will be in existence like the Yi clan in the upper 3 heavens. As for the other clans, my Lan clan is such a powerful force. When we unify the upper 3 heavens, our foundation will also be 100 times stronger than those newly established clans. By then, where will there be any big clans? I'll just swallow up all those clans directly. During the meal, Chu Yang's gaze intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Lan Rua's neck a few times before he looked away. Everyone only thought that he was sizing up Lan Rua and instead looked forward to it. This was even more so for Lan Rua himself. Every time Chu Yang's gaze swept over him, he would always act as if nothing had happened and talk cheerfully. He appeared to be brilliant, knowledgeable, elegant and charming. In the depths of Chu Yang's eyes, a hint of invisible heartache flashed past. He smiled and said, "Big clans are very powerful indeed. One could understand the meaning of a song." The moment he said this, Lan Rua instantly realized that the real test had come. Chu Yang was clearly probing him to see how much he understood about the big clans. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you be victorious in every battle. Big brother is right. Lan Rua changed his words very naturally. He smiled and said, "Big clans, every clan has 10,000 years of foundation. They are really not to be trifled with." Chu Yang listened with great interest. Oh. To Chu Yang, this was the first time that a core member of a big clan had introduced the clan's strength in detail without any reservations. Chu Yang listened especially attentively. Lan Rua perked up. He said, "Let's take our Lan clan as an example." As he spoke, he started to introduce his clan eloquently, including the number of supreme martial artists, their cultivation levels, how much wealth, how much manpower, how many people could be of great use, how many people were both intelligent and brave, who was the most important person, and so on and so forth. He revealed everything big and small. Chapter 1207. Lan Rua really didn't dare to lie at all, nor did he dare to exaggerate at all. Because he knew that every word he said now would be verified in the future. If Chu Yang felt that he had said something fake, by then the consequences would definitely be extremely severe. Chu Yang sat up straight and listened attentively. His mind kept on memorizing. These were all the most important information when he returned to the upper 3 heavens in the future. After all, an opportunity like today to be so open and honest was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, even for himself. Such a rare opportunity, he definitely had to cherish it. And Chu Yang realized that this Lan Rua was really a talent. The Lan clan, big and small forces, from top to bottom, so many people and so many things, were actually introduced one by him in an orderly manner. And it gave off a clear and orderly feeling. The most amazing thing was that he even interspersed some interesting stories of his seniors, so that the listeners wouldn't be bored or distracted. They could also naturally deepen their impressions of some of the names of his seniors step by step. What a talent. Among the big clans, our Lan clan isn't considered strong. Brother Chu, you need to pay attention to this. This time, Lan Rua was really speaking from the bottom of his heart. Our Lan clan should at most be ranked 7th. Ranked first is the Yi clan. From what I know. Lan Rua started to talk non-stop about the other big clans. One could tell that the Lan clan had also put in a lot of effort in this aspect. He was very familiar with each and every name. Then, it was the Shao clan, the Qin clan, the Zhuge clan, the Li clan, and so on. Lan Rua was very eloquent. He moistened his throat with wine and talked non-stop. The rest of the people were listening quietly. The 4 supreme martial artists of the Lan clan had smiles on their faces as they looked at Lan Rua somewhat comforted. At this moment, Lan Rua was an examinee taking the college entrance examination, and the 4 supreme martial artists of the Lan clan were accompanying him. They were the parents who were accompanying their children to the exam. Everyone was equally excited and gratified. How could they be impatient? When they encountered some problems that they couldn't explain clearly, they were even extremely anxious. They wished that they could treat him with their bodies. But everyone knew that that wouldn't do. That would make Chu Yang look down on Lan Rua completely. The Tribulation Sword Master's observation of the tribulation. At the thought of this, the four supreme martial artists couldn't help but feel that their eyes were about to brim with tears. In conclusion, big brother. Little brother against big family clans. In my heart I have a ranking. Lan Ruo smiled modestly. Go ahead, Chu Yang praised. Well, no matter which aspect you look at it from. The Yi clan's strength was without a doubt the number one clan. The second was the Shao clan. The fourth is the Li clan. The fifth is the Ling clan. As for the Lan clan and the Qin clan, they are ranked 7th. This is really a tie. The 8th is the Shi clan and the 9th is the Zhuge clan. Lan Ruo reminded him, although the Zhuge clan is ranked 1st, the Zhuge clan is not the strongest clan. However, the Zhuge clan was ranked based on their martial prowess. If they were to be ranked based on their intelligence, the Zhuge clan would undoubtedly be number 1. Furthermore, the Zhuge family has the mysterious ability to detect the secrets of the heavens. They should not be underestimated. Chu Yang nodded slowly. Regarding Lan Ruo's ranking, Chu Yang had a coincidental feeling. What's more, it was basically the same as Yu Lingshua's assessment of the big clans. Of course. Just 5,000 years ago, the Dharma Supreme gathered the leaders of the big clans. He instructed them to cultivate a secret force to go against the Tribulation Sword Master. Hundreds of years ago, the Dharma Supreme gathered them again for this matter and made arrangements again. This is the biggest secret. Therefore, each big clan still has 2 secret teams or 1 team. After all, this team is the biggest secret of each clan. Outsiders, even the direct descendants of the clan, probably don't know much about it. Lan Ruo said, as for the Lan clan, the Elder Master only told me about it before we came to the lower 3 heavens this time. Well, in this case, the big clans should have more than 1,000 supreme martial artists on the surface. If we add the secret force, it should be more than 2,000? Chu Yang frowned and asked. More than that. This number should be doubled. Lan Ruo said resolutely, at the very least, the secret force of the Lan clan has 370 supreme martial artists. Although their levels are not high, there is no doubt that they are supreme martial artists. Those below the level of supreme martial artist are not qualified to enter the secret force at all. This is the real trump card of each big clan. Lan Ruo said solemnly. Then it's close to 5,000. Chu Yang took a deep breath of cold air. Zi Sheqing had killed 700 supreme martial artists at one go in the battle at Mount Xingyun. Chu Yang had thought that the big clans had already suffered great losses. He didn't expect the secret force of these big clans to be so shocking. In that case, if I want to complete the mission of the Tribulation Sword, I need to face 5,000 supreme martial artists. Chu Yang took a deep breath, his face somewhat pale. No. Big brother, not you but us. Lan Ruo smiled. I swear to follow Big Brother to death, so the Lan clan is of course the same. Excluding the 500 supreme martial artists in our clan, we only need to face 4,500. Moreover, if we are not careful, our 500 people can at least kill 1,000 of the other party, or even 1,500 of them. This is a conservative estimate. Lan Ruo smiled conceitedly. We can't underestimate the enemy. Chu Yang took a deep breath and lamented internally. What a pity. If you had said this before I became sworn enemies with you, I would definitely have made use of it. By then, it wouldn't be as simple as killing 1,000 of them. But now, as long as the heavenly passage opens, you will know everything immediately. By then, even if you kill me 10,000 times, you will still find it too little. Besides, other than the 370 supreme martial artists in your clan, there are only slightly more than 100 supreme martial artists left. But at Mount Xingyun, 70 of the 150 supreme martial artists have already been eliminated. Little brother, your information is inaccurate. The enemy is too strong. Chu Yang's expression was grave. Very strong indeed. Lan Ruo also took a deep breath. Our path won't be easy. Chu Yang smiled. It's still not too late for you to turn back now. Does Big Brother see me as a fickle villain? Lan Ruo put on a displeased look. As long as I follow Big Brother, no matter how dangerous it is, we will walk down the path together. Chu Yang looked at Lan Ruo and sighed. You must be prepared. Many people will die. Lan Ruo raised his head and said dispassionately, I'd rather die than regret. Good. What a good rather die than regret. Chu Yang shouted, Come, let's have a toast. Big Brother, please. The two of them raised their wine cups, stood up, raised their necks and drank the wine in one gulp. Then the two of them faced each other and laughed loudly, full of the feeling of knowing each other. The 4 supreme martial artists present all had a feeling of hot tears in their eyes. Finally, I passed the exam. Chu Yang was smiling on the surface, but he was sighing and feeling pity in his heart. In the whole world, no one knew better than him what a huge mistake the Lan clan had made. What a huge opportunity they had missed. The Lan clan was the only clan in the whole heavenly layer that could be 100% sure of surviving. The Lan clan was really too close to the Tribulation Sword Master. The teacher of the Tribulation Sword Master's mother was Lan Meisien of the Lan clan. The teacher of the Tribulation Sword Master's wife was Lan Meisien of the Lan clan. The two main forces of the Tribulation Sword Master now, Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro, had a close relationship with the Lan clan for thousands of years. Even if the Lan clan didn't do anything and just waited, Chu Yang wouldn't do anything to them. Even if they did, as long as they didn't go overboard, Chu Yang would tolerate it. Even if he didn't do it for the sake of the monk, he had to do it for the sake of the Buddha. He couldn't get past his mother and wife. But now there was no turning back, no turning back. The Lan clan first used despicable means to destroy the emotional ties with Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro, completely breaking the relationship between both parties. The pursuit after Tianji City made the Moonbreeze couple hate the Lan clan to the core. In Tianji City, they even used all kinds of despicable means to plot against Chu Yang, making use of Chu Yang and becoming enemies with him. And that Lan Chang'e actually used Wu Qianqian, who was in love with Chu Yang, to set a trap for him. This was even more intolerable to Chu Yang. They even secretly plotted against the Tribulation Sword Master, with the Lan clan participating in the whole process and guarding it strictly. Of course, the identity of the Tribulation Sword Master had never appeared in the upper three heavens, so the Lan clan's reaction could be said to be an act. But they didn't expect that Chu Yang, whom they had been plotting against and making use of in Tianji City, was the Tribulation Sword Master. Now they knew that Lan Meisien had betrayed Tai Budian and sent people to wait for him in the lower three heavens. If they really wanted to be on good terms, only Lan Ruo alone would be enough. That way, although dangerous, would show more sincerity. But why did Lan Ruo come with 4 supreme martial artists? He was like a louse on a bald man's head. It was obvious that if the cooperation failed, he would completely destroy the Sword Master of Calamity Sword. Kill him. If the Lan clan didn't have such an idea, even a fool wouldn't believe it. Step by step, the Lan clan could be said to have made one wishful thinking after another. However, what made people vomit blood the most was that no matter which plan it was, it would all end up with nothing, pushing them closer and closer to their own destruction. They were also getting further and further away from Chu Yang, the Tribulation Sword Master. There was another reason, Shadow. Chu Yang thought highly of Shadow, who had protected Tai Budian back then. Although the two of them were from the Lan clan, they were loyal to Tai Budian and treated Tai Budian as their own. They had unlimited kinship. If Tai Budian had ever felt kinship from anyone in her life, it would undoubtedly be them. Chu Yang had always admired the two of them. But this time they went missing. Chu Yang asked Tai Budian, but Tai Budian didn't know either. And the time when they went missing was when Lan Ruo and the others had just come to the lower three heavens. When they met just now, Chu Yang could sense that there were 2 pieces of jade hanging on Lan Ruo's neck. They were the treasures of heaven and earth, the mysterious Yang jade. That was why he looked at Lan Ruo's neck several times. Every time he looked, his heart ached. Chapter 1208. Mysterious Yang Jade, one of the world's most miraculous medicines, mysterious Yang Jade essence. Since ancient times, only Chu Yang had the mysterious Yang Jade essence. Only a few people in the entire world possessed mysterious Yang Jade. Moreover, Chu Yang was the one who had given them away. When he first got the mysterious Yang Jade essence, Chu Yang had given one to each of the 2 shadows. The one that he had given to Tai Butian was still hanging around his neck. Then whose was the one hanging around Lan Ruo's neck? Where did Shadow go? Shadow knew that he had given Tai Budian the heavy elixir, but Lan Ruo only found out after meeting him. This meant that Shadow knew but didn't say anything. But Shadow's jade was with Lan Ruo. Where did the 2 of them go? This was almost an obvious matter. Chu Yang immediately figured it out. After Lan Ruo came down, the first thing he did was to question the 2 shadows and get to the bottom of it. But the 2 shadows refused to say anything, and in the end they were killed by Lan Ruo. And the mysterious Yang Jade naturally ended up in Lan Ruo's hands. Otherwise, Shadow would never have left him. The mysterious Yang Jade was of vital importance to the 2 of them. It was even more useful for regulating their bodies. How could he give away such a miraculous treasure? Chu Yang wished he could kill Lan Ruo with one slap right now. What interest did he have in cooperating with him? All these things directly announced one thing. No matter how hard the Lan clan worked, no matter how much they tried to curry favor with him, the Lan clan was already sentenced to death by Chu Yang. There would be no change. The Lan clan had unintentionally built a good foundation to get closer to the Tribulation Sword Master and continue to prosper for another 10,000 years. But they had also intentionally destroyed all these. How could this not be called fate playing tricks on them? If the Lan clan knew about this, there would definitely be a lot of people who would vomit blood and die from regret. This meal went on until late at night. Chu Yang benefited a lot from it. Against the power of the big clans. For the first time he had a direct understanding. This trip was not in vain. Until the music was about to end. Only then did Chu Yang pick his teeth and ask, "How many people came down with you this time?" 14 including me. 15 people. Lan Ruo laughed bitterly. "But big brother, you're really fast. Out of the 4 people in the palace, you've already killed 3. Ah." Chu Yang was shocked. "I killed those 3 people. Are they all your men?" He stomped his foot and sighed. "Ayaya, I saw them sneaking around the palace and their cultivation was so high, so I killed them. I didn't expect that they would be my own people. This is too embarrassing. I'm fine." Lan Ruo swallowed his broken teeth and blood as he said with a smile, "It's their fortune to be able to die in Big Brother's hands. Big Brother, don't worry about it." "How can I not care?" Chu Yang was displeased. He said guiltily, "Do you want me to kill another one tomorrow? Even if you don't care, I care. This is all our strength. How about this?" He paused and said, "Tomorrow wake everyone up. I'm going to meet everyone. After all, we still need a long time in the lower 3 heavens. How can we do things if we don't know each other?" Lan Ruo thought for a moment. He said straightforwardly, "All right. Let's do as Big Brother says." With a smile he said, "I'm staying at the old Heavenly Armament Pavilion where Big Brother used to live. If you're free you can get Feng Qilyang to bring you here. Let's have a good gathering." Chu Yang agreed at once. It settled then. He smiled and said meaningfully, "Lan Ruo, we're not idling around in the lower 3 heavens." Lan Ruo was agitated. "Big Brother can just tell me if there's anything." Chu Yang patted him on the shoulder. "When everyone is here tomorrow, I'll make specific arrangements." "All right." Lan Ruo was overjoyed. He finally got Chu Yang's acknowledgement. What kind of specific arrangements would there be tomorrow? Lan Ruo couldn't help but look forward to it. The current Lan Ruo would never have thought that what Chu Yang meant by, "When everyone is here tomorrow, I'll make specific arrangements," was to arrange for them to report to hell. "Big Brother, where are the other brothers?" Lan Ruo couldn't wait to build a good relationship with Chu Yang. Only when he saw the other tribulations would Lan Ruo be sure that his identity was truly confirmed. Chu Yang smiled. "They're all in the lower 3 heavens. Then how did you come down, Big Brother?" Lan Ruo was rather perplexed. "I came down more than a year ago. During this period of time, I've been in seclusion in a secret place." Chu Yang smiled warmly and said, "When you have time and the matters in Iron Cloud Citadel have come to an end, I'll bring you to that place. There, the spiritual energy is so abundant that it's almost materialized. Your cultivation will definitely be able to progress by leaps and bounds. Yes, I'll bring you to hell. There, the spiritual energy must be abundant. As for whether you can progress by leaps and bounds in that place, I really don't care." "Thank you, Big Brother." Lan Ruo was overjoyed. What followed was naturally a back and forth drinking to their heart's content. The more they drank, the more they felt that they weren't outsiders. They spoke more freely. Under the influence of alcohol, Lan Ruo also felt that he was no longer an outsider to Chu Yang. He couldn't help but crack a little joke. Leaning close to Chu Yang's ear, he said softly, "Big Brother, hee. You've been making love with His Majesty these few days, hasn't it?" Aha! Murderous intent surged wildly in Chu Yang's heart. He laughed loudly. "You're still young. If you say such things again, I'll get angry." Lan Ruo laughed loudly. In Lan Ruo's mind, if he had a woman like this, the pleasure of having the ruler of a country under his crotch and having her at his disposal would be unparalleled. If Chu Yang were in his shoes and someone joked about it like this, it would be like scratching an itch. Putting himself in Chu Yang's shoes, Lan Ruo naturally thought that since they were all men, Chu Yang would definitely be the same as him. He would definitely be extremely pleased with himself. But he would never have thought that Chu Yang could joke about anything, but he would never joke about his own woman in front of outsiders. Chu Yang wouldn't joke about his family in front of outsiders. Parents, brothers, women. Joking about anything. This was Chu Yang's biggest taboo. Lan Ruo's gentle words, which he thought was a way to close the distance between them, and a heart-to-heart conversation between brothers, completely ignited the murderous intent in King of Hell Chu's heart. That night, no matter who it was, they all went their separate ways happily. Chuyang rode on his white horse. Under the attentive waving of the 5 people from the Lan clan, they agreed on a time to meet the next day. Then he rode off reluctantly. Behind him were the 5 people from the Lan clan who couldn't conceal their excitement. What do you think? Lan Ruo watched as Chu Yang's white horse disappeared into the dark night and asked solemnly. There shouldn't be any major problems. Lan Xinhua heaved a sigh of relief and said, he obviously still has some reservations. But this also shows how cautious he is. As for what he said tonight, I don't see any problems. I think so too. With his hands behind his back, Lan Ruo said indifferently, if he wants to unify the heavens, he needs help. The current tribulation hasn't matured to the point where he can help him. Therefore, our suggestion today should be an act of sending charcoal in the snow. Yes, that's why Chuyang didn't mention his dissatisfaction with our invitation earlier on. Lan Qingfeng added. That's right. Lan Ruo was somewhat regretful. I really should have used a different method to ease the tension. From this, we can see that this person's character is also ordinary. He is undoubtedly somewhat rash and irritable. But for now it's already very good. The key lies in his future performance. Lan Xinhua consoled him. He should have something to do in the lower 3 heavens. When that time comes, you and he can do it alone. We won't participate. If we participate, this will affect his mood and perception too greatly. That's right. That way he will only think that I'm a young master who only relies on the clan. Lan Ruo muttered, but I, Lan Ruo, am not that kind of person. Besides, it's easier for the 2 of us to cultivate friendship when we're alone. But in his heart he thought, friendship? How much is friendship worth? Everything will be clear tomorrow. Lan Xinhua was relieved. He smiled and said, tonight we can finally have a good sleep. I wonder how happy the clan will be when they know about this. A reserved smile appeared on Lan Ruo's face. Tomorrow would be the best start. The foundation of the Lan clan's 10,000 years of foundation would be laid tomorrow. Lan Ruo was filled with an excited sense of accomplishment. Tai Budian sat on a chair, her right hand supporting her cheek as she waited quietly. The little fellow had already obediently returned to his room to sleep. Tai Budian originally thought that the little fellow wouldn't be able to take it. But she didn't expect the little fellow to be so independent. He actually slept so soundly in his own room. Right now, Tai Budian was waiting for Chu Yang's return. She was like an ordinary farmer's daughter, waiting for her husband to return from work. If you and I were just ordinary people, I would definitely spend the rest of my life with you. No matter when, as long as you returned home, you would see someone waiting for you. Tai Budian was lost in her thoughts, her face flushed red. Before this, she really didn't expect that there would be a day when she, the ruler of a generation, would willingly remove her disguise, change into red makeup and wait wholeheartedly for someone's return. Such a day was something that she didn't even dare to dream of. Now that Chuyang was here, everything became a reality. Chuyang, little Tian likes you. Tai Budian muttered to herself in a daze. But the moment the words left her mouth, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to crawl into a hole to hide herself. How mushy! The lights on the table flickered, illuminating the room in red. For some reason, Tai Budian didn't touch any of the things that Chuyang had set up last night. Including the carpet, red candles, tassels and so on. Tai Budian allowed her bedroom to remain as it was, without any changes. Her new home, her own happiness, she hoped that she could keep it for a longer time. Chapter 1209. It was already late at night and that guy still hadn't come. Tai Budian was a little frustrated. She opened some memorials and prepared to reply to them, giving herself something to do. But she just couldn't calm herself down. That bastard had disappeared without saying a word in the afternoon. Where had he gone to fool around? She was waiting for him here, but if he really came, what was he going to do? Thinking of this, His Majesty's pretty face blushed with embarrassment. With a creak, the door opened. A figure flashed into the room. You're back. Tai Budian was in the midst of replying to memorials. She held the brush but didn't write for a long time. But the moment Chuyang opened the door and entered, there was an immediate effect. She didn't hold the brush properly and tapped it hard on the memorials. Why aren't you asleep at this late hour? Chuyang was a little puzzled. Then he understood. Are you waiting for me? Bah. Tai Budian retorted. I'm not waiting for you. I'm dealing with memorials. Yes. Dealing with memorials. Good things. Chu Yang chuckled and walked over. As he approached, Tai Budian felt uncomfortable all over, as if she had gone soft for some reason. Your Majesty, it's late. Don't be so busy. Chu Yang hugged her slender waist from behind. His lips moved close to her small, sparkling ear. He gently sucked on her earlobe and nimbly used the tip of his tongue. Let me serve your Majesty in bed, okay? Who wants you to serve me? Tai Budian resisted weakly. But the next moment, there was already a soft exclamation. That pair of big warm hands? They had already reached into her waist. One in each hand, holding the peaks in front of her chest and kneading them gently. Tai Budian went limp all over at once. Don't mess around. I'll deal with the memorials first. You can deal with them. I won't hinder you from doing your work, Chu Yang said sanctimoniously. But his 10 fingers were nimbly moving around. He was fondling her perky buttocks. Occasionally he would pick up the 2 cherries and gently rub them a few times. The creases in front of Tai Buqian's royal robe were very obvious. One could clearly see a pair of hands mischievously messing around inside. Tai Budian supported herself weakly on the table with both hands to prevent herself from collapsing. His voice trembled as he said, You're causing trouble like this? How am I going to handle official business? Chu Yang was playing with the 2 little white rabbits. He was addicted to them, but he couldn't help but be startled when he heard this. Oh, then I won't mess around anymore. As he spoke, he actually pulled his hand out. Tai Budian heaved a sigh of relief, though she still felt a little disappointed. She said, You first, ugh. Before she could finish her sentence, she let out another soft exclamation. That was because Chu Yang wasn't fooling around here. Instead, he had gone somewhere else to fool around. His 2 hands slid down from her waist to her soft buttocks. He gently caressed them and followed the streamline to her thighs. Biting her ear, he whispered, Can I fool around here? Panting heavily, Tai Budian clamped her legs tightly together to stop those hands from moving around. Her voice trembled as she said, No. Hurry up and pull them out. I want to pull it out, but you are clamping it so tightly. How can I pull it out? Chu Yang pretended to pull his hand out. Tai Budian hurriedly let go of her legs and said angrily, Hurry up. There was a startled exclamation. Chu Yang had taken advantage of the moment when her legs were separated and instead of retreating, his hand slipped inside. It was right at the sensitive area. No, I really can't. The Emperor was so embarrassed that she almost died. She subconsciously clamped down hard. You can't do this and you can't do that. What exactly should I do? Chu Yang seemed to be angry. He suddenly pulled his hand out. Tai Budian thought that he was angry and couldn't help but panic a little. She explained, Chu Yang, I'm not. Chu Yang was indeed angry. He reached out and pulled the Emperor over. He pressed his hand on his leg. With a tearing sound, he tore open the Emperor's robe and lifted it up. Then he raised his right hand and slapped the Emperor's delicate buttocks. Although he didn't use much force, it still made Tai Budian cry out in embarrassment. She didn't expect that this bastard would actually dare to take off her pants and hit her buttocks. A strong sense of embarrassment and inexplicable feeling suddenly rose in her. It was as if she had been conquered. Conquered by her own man. Then Chu Yang's hand stopped there. He obviously enjoyed it very much, but he had to pretend to be angry. Do you think that you can reject your own husband's reasonable request just because you're the Emperor? I didn't. Tai Budian hurriedly defended herself. Minister Chu snorted. But you're clearly saying no. Which wife in the world is like you? You're too disobedient. If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask. Other women would never reject their husband's requests, especially in this aspect. Chu Yang was full of nonsense. But how could Tai Budian have the nerve to go out and ask about this? Wouldn't that be too embarrassing? Chu Yang continued to complain. As the Emperor, don't you know about this? It's like this in the world. Otherwise, why would they say that wives treat their husbands like gods? Especially when it comes to bed matters, it's all the more absolutely cooperative. Whatever the man says, it's done. Whatever position he says, it's done. Whenever he says he wants, it's done. This concerns a man's great self-esteem, his greatest dignity. Therefore I can't be careless at all. Now that all ordinary men in the world are so dignified, how can I, as the Emperor's man, be inferior to other men? This really hurts my self-esteem. Chu Yang said very solemnly and seriously. Tai Budian was in a daze. She couldn't help but feel a little apologetic. She said apologetically, I'm sorry. Then do you still dare to do it in the future? Asked Chu Yang. I don't dare to anymore. Tai Budian turned over and swallowed her anger. In the future, I'll listen to you. I'll be like other women. You can do whatever you want? After she finished speaking, she lowered her head in embarrassment. Really? The king of Hell Chu's eyes lit up. Really? The emperor's voice was shy, but she was very sure. Chu Yang was just using this as a pretext to make a fuss. He was just playing around and didn't expect to get such an unexpected reward. He was really overjoyed. He carried her up and the next moment they were already on the big bed. Let's try other positions today, like this? After the deed was done, Tai Buqian's face was flushed. She leaned against Chu Yang's chest and panted heavily. Her entire body had turned into a puddle of mud. Her entire body. She didn't even want to move her little finger. She was really scared. This guy actually still looked like he wasn't done yet. He actually wanted to continue. If he really went on like this, today's morning court session would be delayed again. Tai Budian looked out the window and couldn't help but moan. What morning court session tomorrow? It's already time. But I'm like this. How am I going to attend the morning court session? Just as she was thinking about it, she felt the pair of hands hugging her becoming mischievous again. Below her body, something also started to shake its head. Tai Budian was just about to let out a cry of surprise when Chu Yang covered her mouth with his. No. Don't, sigh. I'm really the most worthless man in the world. Alright, that's a good girl. Next it was spring in the room again. Only the emperor sighed in her heart. This guy really got me into trouble. The emperor didn't attend the morning court session again. But this time the officials received the news early. But everyone was still a little worried. Many people dispersed, but there were also a few who paced back and forth with furrowed brows. They didn't leave even when the sun was high up in the sky. Footsteps sounded in the distance. The Minister of Internal Affairs, Feng Qiuyang, came with a few little eunuchs. They came over with nothing to do. Minister Feng. An official came forward to stop them. He asked somewhat worriedly, Minister Feng, His Majesty hasn't attended the morning court session for 2 consecutive days. Could something big have happened? Feng Qiuyang chuckled and shook his head. It's nothing big. After saying that, he was about to leave. The official stopped him again. What exactly happened? Seeing that he couldn't leave, Minister Feng looked around mysteriously. He leaned close to the official's ear and said in a low voice, Lord Liu. His Majesty has taken in a new, noble consort these 2 days. Noble consort? Oh, I understand. A relieved smile finally appeared on Lord Liu's face. He nodded repeatedly, his old face wrinkled from smiling. His Majesty is really suffering. Ever since the Empress passed away, he hasn't. This is a good thing. Rest assured. The few officials strode away and finally left with peace of mind. Chu Yang, who was on his way to find Feng Qiuyang, hid in the dark. He almost fainted from holding his breath. Noble consort? Minister Chu's face darkened immediately. He walked out a few steps. Minister Feng? Qiuyang. Feng Qiuyang was startled. He nodded and bowed. You. Hello. I'm not good. Chu Yang said angrily, I've already become a noble consort. Feng Qiuyang opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. God took pity on him. He had just casually said something and swore to God that he had only said this one sentence in the past few days. The person involved actually heard it. Chu Yang snorted a few times and said, Bring me to the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Feng Qiuyang was shocked. For this matter, he had already walked back and forth dozens of times outside the bedroom early in the morning. This lord had finally come out. He talked as he walked. Qiuyang, how did you become a eunuch? It's rare that your cultivation is so high. Could it be that you know the yin shrinking technique? How did you escape the strict inspection of the palace? No, you don't have to hide it from them. It's a long story. I haven't. Oh, what a pity. I'm used to it. I heard that you have a total of more than 20 people this time. So many? No, a total of 15 people. So there are 12 more? They're still very strong. In front of you. I don't dare. After some questioning, Chu Yang confirmed it. Chapter 12:10. At the old site of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, Lan Ruo was lecturing. When that person comes later, everyone be smart and alert. Don't make any mistakes. Lan Qi, I know that you are on good terms with the 3 of them. However, the dead can't come back to life. If you delay the clan's important matters because of this mere grudge, no one will be able to bear the consequences for you. Be more respectful but don't flatter them, understand? Lan Ruo was only relieved after he repeated the things to take note of and added a few more times. The sound of hooves rang. 2 horses came from afar. Feng Qiliang took the lead and rushed into the heavenly armament pavilion. Grand Duke, you're here. Lan Ruo perked up and went out to welcome him with a face full of smiles. Big brother. You're here so early. I'm not used to it. Lan Ruo smiled jokingly. Yes, I was afraid that all of you would be anxious from waiting. Chuyang laughed and got off the horse. The 2 of them walked in side by side affectionately. The 4 supreme martial artists were waiting in the courtyard. When they saw Chuyang, they all got up and greeted him with smiles and nods. Other than that, there was another person standing at the side of the courtyard who was walking over to greet him. This is my big brother Chuyang. Lan Ruo said authoritatively, in the future when you see my big brother, it's the same as seeing me. No matter what order or request, you must follow it. You must not slack off at all. Understand? We understand. Okay. Lan Ruo turned and smiled. Big brother, these are the people. Do you think they're enough? Although there are fewer of them, all of them are experts. In the lower 3 heavens. Of course they're enough. Chuyang smiled satisfactorily. Let everyone wait in the courtyard for a while. Let's go to the room to discuss some matters and make arrangements. Chuyang took a few steps forward. As if suddenly remembering something, he said, Elders, come along too. Just nice, there are more people. Let's have a good discussion. The 4 supreme martial artists of the Lan clan felt very comfortable at once. This tribulation sword master really knows how to conduct himself. With just one sentence he made them feel at ease. This was the feeling of being valued. It was something that everyone needed. They reached the room. Lan Ruo sniffed and smiled. Big brother smells so good. It smells like girls' cosmetics. Chuyang smiled helplessly. Oh, this is unavoidable. Everyone understood and burst into laughter. Lan Ruo eagerly brewed tea for the guests. The fragrance of Chu Yang's body floated in the air along with the fragrance of the tea. It seemed to be getting thicker and thicker. Big brother, please. Lan Ruo brought over a cup of tea and passed it to Chuyang. He smiled and said, Big brother, if there's anything important, let's discuss it together. Obviously, Grand Duke Lan couldn't wait to get involved in Tribulation's affairs. Chuyang picked up his teacup and chuckled. He said, Actually, I just want to ask something. Back then, there were 2 experts from the Lan clan by Butian's side. They're a couple called Ing. He stopped here. Everyone's expression changed. Chuyang acted as if he hadn't noticed. He smiled and said, Those 2 are also very honest and very good. Moreover, they are very loyal. Actually, from that time onwards, if I had known that they were from the Lan clan, I would have admired the Lan clan. Those 2 people and I are old friends. Back then, we went through thick and thin together and weathered countless storms together. Chuyang sighed and said deeply, But this time I didn't see them when I came. The lively atmosphere suddenly quietened down. It was so quiet that it was even a little strange. Brother Lan, where are those 2 old friends of mine? Chuyang looked at Lan Ruo with some urgency and asked, Can I meet them? He smiled warmly. It's just that we've been apart for too long. I really miss them. Lan Ruo coughed and said, Yes, old friends should be met. However, big brother, you also know that there's a huge problem now. The passageway to the heavens has already been sealed and is completely off limits. If big brother wants to meet them, you'll have to wait until the heavens are unsealed. Chuyang nodded lightly. That makes sense. Lan Ruo, as the young clan master of the Lan clan, you really have a lot of treasures on you. For example, this piece of jade around Brother Lan's neck. It's really a rare treasure. Lan Ruo's expression changed. He said, It's just a piece of mysterious yang jade. If Brother Chu likes it, I'm naturally willing to part with it. Chuyang smiled. I really like it a lot. The atmosphere was a little strange. Lan Xinhua hurriedly smiled and said, Since Lord Sword Master values those 2 so much, you'll definitely meet them in the future. Our Lan clan is also very honored and doted on. Chuyang nodded and said, Among the big clans, the Lan clan is indeed the clan that has the closest relationship with me. Everyone laughed dryly and nodded in agreement. However, they didn't understand and didn't know what this meant. Chuyang smiled. My woman, who is the current emperor of Iron Cloud, Tai Butian's teacher, is Lan Meixian from your Lan clan. Perhaps you don't know that my biological mother is also Lan Meixian's direct disciple. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Lan Ruo was flabbergasted. This is true? Of course it's true. Chu Yang smiled. How can I lie about such things? Lan Rua shook his head in confusion. Why haven't I heard of it before? Because Lan Meixian doesn't know. My mother also doesn't know that I'm the Tribulation Sword Master, Chu Yang explained very patiently. The 5 people from the Lan clan all felt dizzy. Moreover, the Moon Breeze Supreme Martial Artists are the ones who support the Tribulation Sword Master the most among the law enforcement officers. Similarly, the Moon Breeze Supreme Martial Artist and the Moon Breeze Supreme Martial Artist have a close relationship with the Lan clan. Chu Yang continued. Also, I don't have many friends, but the 2 shadows have occupied one spot. Chu Yang smiled coldly. Say, my relationship with the Lan clan is really like broken bones, but still connected by tendons. Lan Rua was completely confused. He said, yes. Chu Yang said, it's a pity that you've ruined everything. He looked coldly at Lan Rua. Lan Rua's shadow is dead, right? Lan Rua's expression changed. He finally realized that something wasn't quite right. Big brother, I don't understand what you mean. Actually, what I mean is very simple. Chu Yang smiled coldly. A life for a life and a debt for a debt. Lan Rua looked at him in disbelief. You want to kill me? Chu Yang said, why can't I? Lan Rua's eyes widened further and further. You want to kill the successor of a big clan for the sake of 2 insignificant ants? And one who wants to fight for power with you? You won't fight for power with me. They're not ants either. They're my friends, Chu Yang said deeply. The scene of the 2 figures protecting Tai Budian and himself in the midst of the 10,000 troops suddenly appeared before his eyes. He felt a sharp pain in his heart. Those 2 are good for nothings. Do you know that? Lan Rua growled. They were born in the Lan clan in the upper 3 heavens. Be it in terms of resources or environment, they were the best. But they actually only broke through to the king level when they were in their 40s. Too many people in the same batch as them had already become martial emperors or even monarchs, but they were only first-grade martial kings. Such good-for-nothings were chased out by the Lan clan. You actually want to kill me for such good-for-nothings? Chu Yang sneered. There's no use saying all this. I'm only asking you, did you kill them? Did you snatch their mysterious Yang Jade? Lan Rua said furiously, yes, I killed them. So what? As members of the Lan clan. How dare they hide information from me? A pair of ingrates who don't know anything. Why should I feel pity for killing them? Chu Yang was silent for a moment. They can rest in peace today. As he spoke, he looked up. Because I'm going to avenge them. My friends can't die in vain. Chu Yang sighed. Actually, I'm not afraid to tell you. In the upper 3 heavens, in the battle of the medicine banquet, the 10 supreme martial artists of the Lan clan were all killed. Including the 2nd grandmaster of the Lan clan, Lan Wuxia. Chu Yang said heavily, my men did it. These few words were earth-shattering. The 5 people of the Lan clan swayed dizzily at the same time. The 2nd grandmaster was dead? How could that be? Wait a minute. He said the upper 3 heavens? Medicine banquet? Tianji City? How did he get up there? How did he get down? Could it be, outside Tianji City, Lan Qingtian led more than 20 supreme martial artists from the Lan clan, but they were also wiped out by my men. Chu Yang picked up his teacup and took a sip of water. Lan Rua, you won't be able to follow me. Lan Rua was dumbstruck. Is what you said true? Lan Xinhua's body swayed a little as he asked Chu Yang. There's no need for me to lie to you. Chu Yang smiled warmly. All the more there's no need for me to lie to you now. If you don't believe me, I can prove it for you again. How do you prove it? Lan Xinhua's eyes looked as if they were about to spit fire. Prove it like this. Chu Yang laughed and stood up. With a flash of sword light, the calamity sword was unsheathed. With a swoosh, a bright light shone and the heads of the 2 first-grade supreme martial artists flew into the air just like that. The 2 supreme martial artists also wanted to dodge, but just as they were about to raise their cultivation, they suddenly realized that their dantian was empty. There wasn't even the slightest bit of internal energy left. Before they could panic, the sword light had already circled around their necks. Their heads flew into the air, their faces filled with grief, despair and panic. With 2 loud thuds, the 2 heads fell onto the ground. Chu Yang smiled lightly. Do you believe me now? Lan Rua was furious. He was about to jump up when he realized that his dantian was also empty. The cultivation that he had always been proud of had disappeared without him knowing when or why. Lan Qingfeng's expression changed drastically. His cultivation had also disappeared. Thankfully, his cultivation was deep and profound. Currently, he still managed to retain less than 10% of his cultivation, and this 10% was still rapidly disappearing. Lan Xinhua let out a long sigh. Instead, he sat down calmly and said, I only want to know how we were poisoned. A second-grade supreme martial artist only had less than 30% of his cultivation left. Chapter 12:11. Qingyang, do you want to die? Or do you want to live? Chu Yang grinned and looked at General Manager Feng amiably. Feng Qiliang was already scared out of his wits. His mind was in a daze and he was completely confused. Just now, everyone had rushed up except for him who fell back halfway. His head was dizzy. What was going on? I've brought a person here, and this person has killed all of my accomplices. Even a second-grade supreme martial artist was dead. Until now, General Manager Feng still thought that he was dreaming. Oh my god, if this is really a dream, please let me wake up quickly. Although these people usually look down on me. After all, we are all on the same team. At this moment, when he heard the words, do you want to die or live, Feng Qiliang couldn't help but want to cry. Nonsense. As long as one could live, who would want to die? Chu Yang looked at his expression one by one and understood in his heart. It seems that my guess was right. Come, Qingyang, let's talk. Chu Yang pulled Feng Qiliang and walked toward a room at the side. With a few casual swings of the sword, this area was turned upside down. The original main house and courtyard were all turned upside down, burying all the bloodstains and corpses below. Qingyang, I know you don't like this name. Chu Yang gestured for Feng Qiliang to sit opposite him. And I also know that although you are from the Lan clan and have the cultivation of a fourth-grade martial saint, you are not happy. And you are very lonely and very angry. I think the fact that you were born impotent must have troubled you a lot, right? Feng Qiliang was originally in a state of shock. His face was pale, but when he heard that, it suddenly turned red. After struggling for a long time, he said angrily, if you want to kill me, just kill me. Why do you have to joke about my physical disability? He became the general manager of the inner court. When he was in that position, everything was very natural. Because it was not him after all. Now that he had regained his original identity, he especially couldn't stand such words. I am not joking with you. Chu Yang said gently, and it is not just you. Everyone with physical disabilities will attract the contempt of some people who bully the weak and fear the strong, or all superficial people. Even insulting. You are only one of them. Although the Lan clan is a big clan, there are many people in the clan. However, there were many such people. Therefore, I can conclude that your days in the Lan clan were not comfortable. Chu Yang said, that's why I didn't kill you. Besides, I want to talk to you. Feng Qiliang chuckled. You also know, whether I'm living comfortably or not. Although he said that, his eyes involuntarily revealed a trace of sorrow. Chu Yang sighed, I can imagine. Feng Qiliang's panicked emotions slowly calmed down. He was also an expert. Naturally, he could sense Chu Yang's gaze, tone, and emotions. He really didn't have any intention of mocking him. He couldn't help but slowly calm down. Fine. Before I die, it's good that I find you, the sword master of Calamity Sword, to pour out my grievances. Feng Qiliang laughed self-deprecatingly and said, I'm the only one in the world who can openly complain in front of the Calamity Sword master. I'm proud of it. Chu Yang smiled. I'm listening. I wasn't born like this. Feng Qiliang laughed bitterly. It was when I was 8 years old. At that time, the current clan master I was his study partner at that time. Sometimes I was mischievous. I was young and insensible. Once I provoked him and he castrated me. Although I was treated in time, from then on I was still. Feng Qiliang smiled. I was still young then and didn't feel anything. However, when I was 13 years old, almost everyone who saw me, especially those of the same age, would laugh at me. This went on until I was in my 20s. It was then that I realized that if you were a man but couldn't be one, that kind of feeling was worse than death. Especially when everyone knew that you were a man but not a man. That kind of feeling was really, even being cut into pieces 10,000 times couldn't compare to this kind of feeling. He didn't mention how he was discriminated against or how others insulted him. However, when he said it like this, it gave Chu Yang an extremely repressed feeling. He could feel Feng Qiliang's suffering and helplessness all these years. I only heard that, as long as one cultivates the supreme martial artist grade and surpasses the boundary between immortal and mortal, one will be able to reconstruct his body and regrow his limbs. Feng Qiliang said bitterly, so I cultivated step by step. Only until I reached supreme martial artist grade. By then, I don't necessarily have to prove anything to the world. As for having a bunch of wives and concubines, I don't even want to. I just want to tell myself that I, Feng Qiliang, am also a man. That's enough. However, since things have come to this stage today and my life and death are no longer up to me, then it's up to Lord Swordmaster to decide. Feng Qiliang laughed self-mockingly. To provide Lord Swordmaster with something to talk about and also to finish what I want to say. It's enough for me to thank you. Chuyang took a deep breath and said, you don't have to die. The Lan clan won't let me off. Feng Qiliang smiled lightly. Lan Ruo is already dead and I'm still alive. This is a huge crime. Chuyang didn't pay attention to him and continued, besides your injuries, don't necessarily have to reach Supreme Martial Artist grade. As long as you can break through to first grade Supreme Martial Artist and have the ability to absorb the vitality of heaven and earth, I can heal you and let you become a man. Feng Chuyang's whole body suddenly stiffened. He looked at Chuyang in a daze. Are you serious? Chuyang nodded seriously. At your level, you should know that there's something in this world called the Spring of Life. You should also know that the Tribulation Sword Master has a heavy pill. As long as I'm still around, I can heal you, and let you regain your masculinity as a man. Chuyang nodded lightly. I think you should trust me. But why do you want to help me? Feng Qiliang asked warily. You and I are enemies. You killed so many Supreme Martial Artists casually. Why do you offer me, a 4th grade martial saint, such a generous offer? The Tribulation Sword Master's heavy pill together with the Spring of Life could heal his unspeakable injuries. Feng Qiliang had heard about this from the Medicine Valley's high priest, but he had never dreamed of it. The Tribulation Sword Master was like a divine dragon. The Spring of Life had always been a legend and had never appeared before. Now that Chuyang was standing right in front of him, his heart suddenly became lively. Because you have a grudge against the Lan clan. Chuyang said lightly, this is the most important reason. And I need an expert to stay in the Iron Cloud Palace to protect my woman. You should know that I can't stay here for long. Feng Qiliang smiled. You trust me so much? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill your woman after you leave? I'm not afraid. Chuyang smiled lightly. Because I'm the only one in this world who can heal your unspeakable injuries. And this time, even if I don't kill you or help you, you won't be able to live on. If you want to live and fulfill your wish and have the chance to go to the Lan clan in the future, the only way is to cooperate with me. Hearing the words have the chance to go to the Lan clan in the future, Feng Qiliang's eyes suddenly shone with a dazzling light. Lastly, I'll tell you, Supreme Grade Physical Body Reconstruction refers to, your current physical body can be regrown after it's injured, such as a broken limb or a broken arm. However, it doesn't mean that you can recover from the old injuries you suffered when you were young. Think about how to do it. I'll go out and tidy up. Chuyang walked out as he spoke, leaving Feng Qiliang alone in the room. Although some of it was buried outside, there were still traces. Chuyang had to clean it up. Another thing was that Ying was already gone. Tai Budian didn't have any expert to protect her at all. An ordinary revered martial artist might be more than enough to deal with people from the lower 3 heavens, but it was far from enough to deal with the Lan clan. Although the heavens were sealed now, it would open automatically when he obtained the Tribulation Sword fragment. By then he might not be able to come down before the Lan clan. Because at that time, he would still be in the midst of comprehending the heaven and earth phenomenon and wouldn't be able to control himself at all. By the time he came down, it would take at least half a month's time. The Lan clan was located at the southern end, but it would only take about 10 days for someone to come down here. If they came down immediately, they would have at least 5 days more time than Chuyang. What Chuyang needed now was to find a reliable person to tide through this period of time. Of course, whether the Lan clan would come or not was still uncertain. Whether they could come down before Chuyang, no one could say for sure. But Chuyang didn't dare to take the risk. After all, the person here now was the first successor of the Lan clan. The possibility of someone from the Lan clan coming down immediately was very high. And Feng Qiliang fulfilled this condition of Chuyang's. By then, if the Lan clan came to check, no matter who it was, in the case that only Feng Qiliang was present, they would have to find Feng Qiliang to understand the situation first. Feng Qiliang could drag on for these 5 days. Even if the situation was the worst, with Feng Qiliang's martial saint cultivation, he should still have a lot of confidence to protect Tai Budian and escape. After he finished tidying up, Feng Qiliang also walked out of the room. I promise you, Feng Qiliang said solemnly. Chuyang stopped. He tilted his head and looked at him for a while. Finally he smiled. Qingyang, you will know that this is a very wise choice. Feng Qiuyang blushed. Because he could tell that perhaps Chu Yang used to call him Qinyang as a form of teasing, but now it was a joking tone between friends. I really don't like this name. Feng Qiuyang said gloomily, I hope you can call me by my full name, Feng Qiuyang. I know, Qinyang. Qinyang, I will definitely call you by your full name in the future. Chu Yang said with a smile. Feng Qiuyang's face darkened. Chapter 12:12. But Feng Qiuyang felt relieved. Chu Yang's joke meant that he really saw him as one of his own, someone he could trust. This made Feng Qiuyang, who had never been truly trusted by others and had never had any friends, feel a surge of warmth in his heart. But Chu Yang handed over a purple crystal bottle. Feng Qiuyang looked up in shock. This is the spring of life. Chu Yang said, drink a mouthful every half a month to catalyze and strengthen your sense of the vitality in the world. Feng Qiuyang was shocked and looked at Chu Yang in a daze. Don't use people you don't trust. Chu Yang smiled warmly. I have to take out something to make you trust me, right? Feng Qiuyang's hands trembled. Feng Qiuyang knew what Chu Yang meant. He knew that the Tribulation Sword Master could cure his unspeakable problem. The key was the spring of life. And now Chu Yang had solved the biggest problem. The spring of life was right in front of him. As long as he worked hard and reached the level of supreme martial artist, he would be able to wash away the biggest humiliation in his life. Never before had he reached the end of his Leduo so quickly. In his heart, he still needed at least 2,500 years to wash away his humiliation and reach the level of second-grade supreme martial artist. But now, compared to 2,500 years, this minute of time had been shortened to an almost negligible length. He took the bottle of Spring of Life with trembling hands. For a moment he actually had the urge to cry. Don't use people you don't trust. Don't doubt people you use. He completely understood the meaning of Chu Yang's words. They must have brought a lot of purple crystals with them to maintain their cultivation in the lower three heavens. Those are all yours. As soon as possible. Increase your strength. Chu Yang said. Yes. Feng Qiuyang's voice was filled with gratitude and obedience. Chu Yang's eyes flashed, and a huge stone in his heart was lifted. Then, with a warm smile, he took out a small wine flask as if he was performing a magic trick. It was only the size of his palm. There's a strange kind of wine in here. Drinking this wine will allow your cultivation to increase overnight. 300 years. Chu Yang smiled mysteriously. With your cultivation you'll have to drink it twice. 300 years. Feng Qiuyang was truly shocked. Yes, it's 300 years. Chu Yang sighed. My woman and child are here. I won't feel at ease if I don't increase your strength as soon as possible. Besides, you can't take heavy pills now. If he were to take it now, it won't be of any use when you reach the martial saint level. That's the only way. Feng Qiuyang's whole body trembled. Suddenly, he raised his head to look at Chu Yang and said seriously, you treat me as a state scholar. Although I, Feng Qiuyang, am not considered a man now. But he was willing to repay it with his life. Brother Chu, don't worry. As long as I'm still alive, His Majesty's mother will definitely be safe and sound. Thank you very much. Chu Yang patted his shoulder, but you said something wrong. Are you a man or not? It wasn't a matter of whether one had the ability to do so, but rather, it was a matter of responsibility. Look at his integrity and strength of character. In this world, there are many men who have beautiful wives and concubines, but they are indeed despicable and have no moral integrity. Even if such a person marries 10,000 wives, he still can't be called a real man. I hope you can understand. Feng Qiuyang's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes. His whole face was glowing. Suddenly, he felt his heart relax as if a block was slowly melting away. Actually, you've always been a man. Never changed. Ever since you vowed to climb up to the martial saint level, you've been a real man. Chu Yang looked at him approvingly. Whether one is a man or not cannot be determined by whether he has a woman or not. Besides, I also really want to see the day when you kill your way up to the upper three heavens, avenge your humiliation in the Lan clan, and kill those who hurt you back then. When that time comes, my brothers and I will definitely be at the side cheering for you. Thank you. I think that day will come for me. Feng Qiuyang's face was flushed. Chu Yang and Feng Qiuyang returned to the palace together. Behind them, the heavenly armament pavilion was still silent. It was as if the fight just now didn't leave any traces at all. This place needs to be reorganized and restored to its original state. Chu Yang muttered, after all, this is where my brothers and I started out. Feng Qiuyang's eyes flashed and he lowered his head. He secretly decided in his heart that when he returned, he would get people to come over and reorganize the place. Everything would be restored to its original state. "You're back." Was noon. Tai Budian was in the imperial study dealing with the official affairs that had been squeezed out these few days. "Yes, let me introduce you to someone." Chuyang smiled and pulled Feng Qiuyang over. "In the future this person can be your personal bodyguard. You will replace Ing." Tai Budian made a sound of acknowledgement, not very surprised. After Feng Qiuyang left, Tai Budian stopped what she was doing. There was some sadness in her eyes. "You've avenged Ing and the rest?" Chuyang looked at her with some surprise. Tai Budian shouldn't know about this. Why did she suddenly ask this now? "I know that they're dead," Tai Budian said quietly. "I also know that the person who came in just now was originally an enemy." Chuyang was silent. He had once greatly admired Tai Butian's intelligence and wisdom. However, ever since he knew that Tai Budian was a woman, this admiration seemed to have changed. Now that he was experiencing it again, he actually felt a sense of novelty and admiration. He had never mentioned Ying's matter because he was afraid that Tai Budian would be sad. It was better to keep her in the dark forever than to bear the pain of losing a loved one. "No one told me about this." Tai Butian's eyes were a little red, but she forcibly restrained herself. "Back then, more than a year ago before Ing left, he said to me, if he comes back, you'd better give up the throne and go with him. At that time I already knew that once they left, I'm afraid they won't come back. The night before Ing left, Ing said to me, 'Your Majesty, let me comb your hair again.' I knew it. Their lives might be in danger. But I didn't dare to say it. Once I did, they would be worried about leaving. Moreover, I had to wait for an opportunity to avenge them. During this period of time, I was more concerned about Prime Minister Wang. Prime Minister Wang was old and weak, and I was the one who personally poisoned him. That was why I had the chance to visit his residence continuously and observe everyone. I knew. They were in Prime Minister Wang's residence. Since you're here, I wanted to find out about your current cultivation in a few days. If it wasn't enough, I would have chased you away immediately. But since the day before yesterday your whereabouts started to be strange. I knew that you were up against those people. But I didn't dare to say it. I was afraid that you would be distracted." Tai Budian smiled a little sadly. "When men do things, especially things that they don't want women to know, it's best that women don't interrupt or point fingers. It's best to feign ignorance. But I was really worried about you. Otherwise, do you think I would have let you do whatever you want these few days?" Tai Budian said the words "do whatever you want." Her face suddenly turned red, and a hint of embarrassment flashed across her eyes. But it was immediately overwhelmed by grief. "When you came back today and brought this person back, I knew that you had already avenged them." Tai Budian raised her head, tears slowly welling up in her eyes. She stood up slowly and suddenly bowed to Chuyang slowly. "Chuyang, thank you. Thank you for avenging them." Tai Butian's voice was a little choked, but she forced herself to control it. "This is something that I have been thinking about for a year, wanting to do at all costs but ultimately unable to do." Cold sweat broke out on Chuyang's back. This girl was actually thinking about avenging herself? Faced with 4 supreme martial artists and so many martial saints, even if Tai Budian was the emperor, what could she do? Luckily he had come earlier. "Silly girl, is there a need to thank me?" Chuyang sighed and took her into his arms. "Don't forget that you are my woman. Your family is my family. It is only right that I avenge them." Tai Budian smiled with tears in her eyes. "I have always wanted to build a memorial for them and let them rest in peace. But I was afraid of alerting the enemy. Today I can finally fulfill my wish." She leaned into Chuyang's arms and murmured, "I miss them so much. Really, Chuyang, I miss even more that period of time when the 4 of us traveled together in the mountains of Beyond the Heavens sect." Chuyang hugged her quietly, his heart suddenly filled with emotions. The past flashed past his mind like smoke and clouds. All of a sudden, a feeling of, the world has changed, things have remained the same but people have changed, arose in his heart. Life was like a dream. "These people are all dead?" Tai Budian asked softly. "All dead. Other than this one that I have subdued, none of the other 14 are left." Chuyang replied affirmatively. "They are all from the Lan clan, right?" Tai Butian's body trembled violently, her eyes revealing a severely hurt expression. "Yes." Feeling the fragility of the person in his arms, Chuyang hugged her even tighter. Tai Budian laughed bitterly. Even with her willpower, she couldn't bear the pain of being hurt like this. Because the one who betrayed her this time was her master. The master who had taught her so much. To actually betray her. This kind of mental pain wasn't something that an ordinary person could bear. Thinking back to the time when she was giving birth, her master ran around taking care of her. At that time, perhaps she was really good to her, or perhaps she just wanted to see her take the heavy pill after giving birth and then confirm the heavy pill? Otherwise, although she was very passionate back then, she had only done one thing that she had promised to do: bring Wu Qianqian away. She said that she wanted to introduce a good teacher to Wu Qianqian. Could it be that she also wanted to find a backer for her clan or pull in allies? Thinking of this, Tai Budian felt a bone-piercing chill in her heart. She only felt that her body was even colder. One had to admit that Tai Butian's conjecture was true. The reason why Lan Meixian brought Wu Qianqian to look for a good teacher was to further build a good relationship with the Moon Breeze couple. A little later in the third update, I'll go out for a meal. But there will definitely be a drop, and to be continued. Chapter 12-13. Her. Tai Budian didn't say it out loud. She just laughed and said, "For people, their family is still the most important." Lan Meixian betrayed her brother for the sake of her clan and her family. I'm just a little sad. I don't blame her, really. Tai Budian smiled quietly. She leaned against Chu Yang's chest and listened to his strong heartbeat. She thought to herself, there's nothing wrong with that. If Chu Yang and the child are in danger one day, I will also do anything for my family, she thought sadly. Teacher, I don't blame you. We're all women. It's just that you shouldn't have let them kill Shadow. You won't be staying here for long, right? Tai Budian asked softly. Yes, I can only stay for a month or so before I have to leave. This time I've temporarily opened the passageway. I only have 2 months of travel time. Chu Yang took a deep breath. If you want to come again, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until the passageway is completely opened. Okay. Tai Budian nodded. She broke free from his arms and sat down on the chair. Chu Yang also sat down opposite her. You really want to stay here? Chu Yang asked tentatively. Tai Budian nodded slightly. This is the foundation that we've worked hard for together. It's also the Leduo of my ancestors. In this world, when there's no suitable person to replace me, I want to stay here. She smiled. Chu Yang, if I go with you, what can I do? Chu Yang was suddenly speechless. With Tai Butian's current cultivation, she really could go back with him. She really couldn't be of much help to him. She could only stay in the Chu clan and receive protection. He, on the other hand, would still roam the martial world and complete his own Leduo. If that was the case, what was the difference between Tai Budian staying here and in the Chu clan? Both would be waiting. But to Tai Budian herself, the meaning was very different. I have a Leduo. Tai Budian smiled. I want this world, under my rule, to never be separated from one's wife. To never be filled with the flames of war. To never be filled with sorrow and tears. To never be wronged and die. To never be hungry and cold. I want my people to be happy. I want my territory to be peaceful and peaceful. I want these 3 days. Let's celebrate. This is my dream. Tai Butian's eyes were shining. Jiang, do you know? Ever since I became Empress Dowager Budian, I've been training myself day and night. He has completely transformed into the material of an emperor. I like my present. I like my iron cloud. I like my people. She turned her head and gazed at Chu Yang affectionately. Perhaps as your woman I can't do my best. But as the emperor, I think I have done a very good job. Chu Yang took a deep breath. Looking at the radiance on Tai Butian's face, he couldn't help but feel deep veneration for her. Taking a breath, he said, Be my woman. You did well too, very well. Tai Budian smiled faintly. She was still dressed as a man. If he was dressed as a woman, this smile would be. She would definitely display endless charm. So, Chu Yang, your little Tian Tian and the Tai Budian in the court are 2 different people. Little Tian Tian can do anything for you and let you do whatever you want to her. No matter what, little Tian Tian is just a woman with a husband. She can only use everything she has, her body and her feelings, to do her best to make her man happy and happy. Even if she is licentious in front of her man, that is also the duty of a wife. But Tai Budian is completely different from little Tian Tian. Tai Budian wants to use all his abilities, all his intelligence and wisdom to control the officials and use all his means to seek happiness for the people of the world. Tai Budian stood up again and walked to Chu Yang. Reaching out her arms, she gently hugged his waist. As a woman, I only listen to my man. So, I will do whatever my man wants me to do, including all the shameful things. Because I am my man's woman. But as the emperor, I have to be responsible for my people, for my foundation and for my empire. I can only rule the world and rule the world. As a woman, I am not strong. As the emperor, I have a clear conscience. As a human, I have no regrets. Tai Budian said softly, Chuyang, do you understand me? I understand you. Looking at Tai Budian in front of him, Chuyang suddenly felt a surge of reverence in his heart. This was a real person. A real person was different from a real man and a real woman. She could completely distinguish her duties and identity and see through herself completely. When she was a woman wholeheartedly. When she was an emperor, she was an emperor wholeheartedly. In these few days, Chuyang kept feeling that the current Tai Budian was different from before. Especially when she was under the bed, she was really too obedient. It was only now that he knew that she was no different from before. Because she knew that her time as a woman was very short. So, she gave up all her self-esteem and all her identity just to be her man's woman. But when he walked out of the bedroom, he was the emperor, ruling the world. Such a woman's gentleness and obedience only appeared in front of Chuyang alone. Now that I have you and have become your woman, my life is complete. Tai Budian murmured, no one is happier than me. Chuyang chuckled and said, yes. You are the happiest and so am I. Tai Budian smiled happily. However, even if you choose to stay here, you still have to improve your strength. You are only a third-grade martial king now. It is still not safe in the lower three heavens. Chuyang pondered for a moment. At night I will help you improve. Will it deplete your cultivation? Tai Budian was the first to raise this question. If it would damage Chuyang, she would rather not improve. I am the Tribulation Sword Master. I have plenty of elixirs, do you understand, little girl? Chuyang gently pinched her face. That's good. Tai Budian nodded with a red face. After a long while, she suddenly said softly, ask little Yang later. He is the blood of your Chu clan after all. If he is willing, you can take him away. Tai Buqian's voice was full of reluctance. Chuyang's heart shook. He understood that as a mother. For a mother, how painful it was for Tai Budian to say this, how much sacrifice she had made. I want to be the emperor. The little guy waved his hands and said angrily. Both Chuyang and Tai Budian were speechless. What? Chuyang asked. He knew that this kid was very mischievous. So, he must have his own reasons. Ruling over the world and benefiting the people. The little guy's eyes shone. How impressive. Impressive? Tai Budian was speechless. Of course, the most important thing is... The little guy snorted. The 72 concubines of the 3 palaces. The 3,000 beauties in the harem. I will beat you to death. Before he could finish, Tai Budian and Chuyang spanked him from left to right. The little guy screamed loudly. When Chuyang and Tai Budian went out, Chuyang turned around and saw that the little guy was looking at him with sparkling eyes. Chuyang felt a burst of excitement in his heart. He quickly walked back and gave her 2 kisses on her tender little face. Poo poo poo, disgusting. The little guy wiped his face in a flurry. Chuyang laughed heartily. He pinched his son's face again and patted his buttocks. Then he walked out. Little Tai Yang rubbed his face. Watching Chuyang go out, his eyes showed deep affection. He thought to himself, if I don't take over my mother's burden, how can she get her happiness? In the whole world, there is only one person who can give my mother happiness. There is only my father. She can only enjoy her happiness if I take over her burden. As for me, I will leave when I give birth to a child. I will go and find my parents. Although Chuyang didn't know so many twists and turns in the little guy's heart, he understood his feelings. Let me follow you first. Chuyang chuckled. He rubbed his nose, feeling a little uncomfortable. But in about a year, the heavenly passage will open and I will bring him back to the upper 3 heavens. Of course, when we return to Iron Cloud, he will still be the crown prince. When the passage opens in the future, it will be more convenient for us to travel. Tai Budian nodded. Okay. Embarrassment appeared on her face again. Obviously, she thought of her senior sister again. This time, there was really no way to avoid it. She really didn't know how to address her when they met. Just as she was feeling conflicted, she heard Chuyang say, "Oh right, when you meet our mother in the future." Before he could finish, Tai Budian had already pinched him hard in embarrassment. He couldn't help but scream. Tai Budian quickened her steps and disappeared at the end of the corridor in an instant. Judging from her footsteps, she was actually extremely flustered. Chuyang laughed. At night, the two of them sat opposite each other. Tai Budian looked at the 3 large bathtubs in the bedroom, a little confused. The bathtubs were filled with hot water. She was even more confused. Even if she wanted to take a bath, a large bathtub should be enough, right? Come, Tian, let's drink some wine tonight. Chuyang took out a wine pot and 2 wine cups and immediately filled them to the brim. Tai Budian was a little dizzy. This wine pot was only the size of a fist, extremely pocket-sized. The 2 wine cups were only the size of a fingertip. Your Majesty, please? Chuyang raised his wine cup very respectfully. Well, at least you have some judgment. Tai Budian picked up the Emperor's wine cup and drank it in one gulp. She frowned. This wine cup was so small that she almost couldn't hold it. There were only a dozen or so drops of wine in it. Just as she was thinking, a wave of heat suddenly rose from her dantian and instantly penetrated her limbs and bones. Her pretty face flushed red and her whole body was unbearably hot. The Emperor was furious. You still gave me an aphrodisiac even in this state? Aphrodisiac? Chuyang was dumbfounded. Do I need to give you an aphrodisiac? This was Shui Leihan's wine. Afraid that Tai Budian couldn't take it, Chuyang diluted it again with the spring of life. But how did this happen? Before Tai Budian could finish her sentence, her eyes widened. She saw some impurities seeping out of her arm at a speed visible to the naked eye. It actually smelled a little fishy. Shui Leihan's wine could even cleanse Chuyang's meridians and marrow, much less Tai Budian, a mere 3rd-grade martial king. I drank the wine very quickly, finishing it before 8 o'clock. But I drank a little too much, causing me to revise this chapter a few times for fear that I wouldn't write it well. I've confirmed that I've written the Tai Budian that I wanted to write. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm very satisfied. To be continued. Chapter 12-14. What's going on? Tai Budian felt her body getting hotter and hotter. Her meridians were also gradually expanding and her dantian was also gradually expanding. His cultivation was increasing at a speed that could topple mountains and overturn seas. This speed was almost terrifying to Tai Budian. She felt her meridians rapidly filling up, swelling but she didn't feel any discomfort, just heat. This was very strange. How could a normal medicine that could increase one's cultivation not have a corresponding pain when it had such a heaven-defying effect? One must know that the expansion of the meridians and the effect of the dantian were both accompanied by pain. But this kind of wine actually didn't have such a reaction at all. What kind of wine is this? Tai Budian was extremely surprised. This kind of wine originally had another name. But after I got my hands on it, I gave it a name. Chuyang grinned and said, It's called stinky wine. Stinky wine? Tai Budian was somewhat flustered as she wiped her body. But once the impurities in her body started to be expelled, it was extremely fast and there was no way to wipe them all away. Yes, look, after drinking this little bit of wine, my little sweetie has become little stinky. Chuyang laughed and covered his nose exaggeratedly. Wow, you're so smelly. Tai Budian was both embarrassed and angry. She spat fiercely. She was born pure and clean and had never seen herself dirty. This was the first time such a situation had happened. For a moment she couldn't help but panic. Chuyang, what should we do? How can we stop it? Chuyang laughed. Why should we stop it? Since birth, humans have grown up eating grains. Slowly, from an innate body to an acquired body. Then, be it muscles or bones or internal organs, they are all filled with impurities. They are filled with impurities. This is also a problem that martial arts experts have always found difficult to solve. That is, we absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to improve our physique. But we need to eat and drink. Once we eat, drink, and breathe, a large amount of impurities will enter the body again. Therefore, this is an unsolvable cycle. Only when one's cultivation reaches a certain level, the amount of spiritual energy he absorbs will become greater and greater. Gradually suppressing the rate at which he absorbs impurities, this person can then be said to be an expert. In order to reach this level, one must go through countless cleansing of their muscles and marrow. I've often heard people say that it only takes one round of marrow cleansing to transform into an innate body. From now on, the path of martial arts will be smooth. This is simply nonsense. I won't eat or drink in the future. No need to breathe. If that's the case, then only the dead can become an expert. As for those who have reached the stage where they can completely cleanse their marrow, that's the lowest level. It can only be achieved when one reaches the supreme grade, the boundary between immortal and mortal. As for this wine, when you drink it at your current stage, it can completely improve your physique. It can expel all the impurities that you can't expel with your current cultivation. Moreover, it can strengthen your cultivation and help you consolidate it. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the change in your own constitution. That's a good thing. Chu Yang concluded. Tonight, he had already made up his mind to raise Tai Buqian's strength completely at all costs. Then he would act as her sparring partner during this period of more than a month so that Tai Buqian's cultivation could quickly reach a level where she could protect herself. Of course, in Chu Yang's eyes, she could protect herself, the kind where she could at least escape from a martial saint. Feng Qiliang was a force to be reckoned with, but she had to completely rely on Feng Qiliang. She couldn't. But, it's really very smelly, and very dirty? Tai Budian looked very embarrassed. Such impurities had actually appeared on her own face. Tai Budian lowered her head deeply, not letting Chu Yang see her face at this moment. Wait for a while more. Quickly circulate your energy and activate your cultivation. Expel all the impurities that can be expelled. Chu Yang chuckled and urged her. Tai Budian turned her back and sat cross-legged to circulate her energy. Slowly. More and more impurities were expelled from her body, soaking her clothes. They were hard and stuck to her body. It's about time. Chu Yang took a breath. Quickly take off your clothes and take a bath. Although Tai Budian listened to everything Chu Yang said, that was when she was aroused. Right now there was no ambiguity at all, and it was the ugliest and dirtiest moment of her life. She was still a little embarrassed to strip naked in front of Chu Yang. Close your eyes, Tai Budian said in embarrassment. Okay. Chu Yang knew that Tai Budian couldn't bring herself to do it. If he really stared at her with his eyes wide open, it wouldn't matter to him, but it might leave a shadow in Tai Buqian's heart in the future. Chu Yang closed his eyes tightly. As a woman of unparalleled beauty, she would rather die than let the man she loved see her ugly side. Therefore, some women would rather commit suicide, break up or divorce than see their men when their faces were disfigured or accidentally damaged. This was a woman. Usually, when she went out on the streets and attracted a lot of attention, she would secretly feel good and especially proud. But, at her most beautiful moment, she would only allow her man to see her. If anyone else took a look at her, she would feel that it was a kind of blasphemy. Similarly, when she was at her ugliest, she might not care if the whole world looked at her, but if the man she loved the most took a look at her, it would make her feel so much pain that she wanted to die. Rustling sounds rang out, and then very quickly, with a splash, Tai Budian had already jumped into the big bathtub. Now she finally knew why Chu Yang had prepared these 3 bathtubs. The first thing she did when she opened her eyes was to check if Chu Yang was looking at her. When she found that Chu Yang had really closed his eyes, she was relieved. She took off her clothes at the fastest speed and jumped into the bathtub. Even her head was submerged in the hot water. The first thing she did was to quickly remove the dirt on her face. The sound of water splashing could be heard. After half an hour, Chu Yang said, "I've opened my eyes." "Wait a while more," Tai Budian said anxiously. This girl was washing her hair. Her face was already cleaned, but her hair was more troublesome. Then she scrubbed herself in a flurry until her body was almost done. Then she jumped into the second bathtub with a splash. Chu Yang screamed. "Big sister, you can just use one. Why are you using 2? That one is for you to use for the next discharge." Tai Budian snorted. "Can't you just get some more hot water?" Chu Yang groaned. This girl was too troublesome. Women were indeed troublesome. Back then, when I drank this wine, I just scrubbed myself in the snow and was done with it. This woman actually wanted to wash herself twice. Seriously, as he was thinking, Tai Budian jumped into the third bathtub with a splash. Chu Yang's face was full of black lines. 3 times. "Looks like I'll just go and boil the water tonight and not do anything else. You can open your eyes now." Tai Buqian's relieved voice, with a hint of embarrassment, rang out. She didn't want to. After all, she was still naked. But her heart ached for Chu Yang. Because if he kept his eyes closed like this, even though he was being considerate of her, it wouldn't feel good if he closed his eyes for too long. Anyway, he was her man. Besides, her whole body was soaked in water. Tai Budian comforted herself like this, but she was still so embarrassed that her face was flushed red. Chu Yang finally opened his eyes. He looked at the water in the 2 bathtubs. In particular, the first one was already as black as ink. The second one was slightly murky. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. "Tian Tian. I've always smelled your fragrance. Who would have thought? Don't pour this water away. Keep it as ink for your son to learn how to write." When the time comes, I'll tell him that this is his mother's bathwater. She washed 250 liters of water until it turned black. Before he could finish his sentence, he was already sprayed with water arrows that came straight at his face. You're despicable. Get lost. Under the emperor's angry reprimand, Minister Chu swallowed his anger and put the first 2 bathtubs into the tribulation dimension. Then he slipped out and poured the water away. Then he came back with 2 big bathtubs full of clean water. Then he took out some food from the tribulation dimension. Tai Budian had just cleansed her body. Almost all the impurities in her body had been purged. She was starving. The moment she smelled the fragrance, her stomach started to growl. Chuyang let her soak in the water and not come out. He fed her little by little. In the end, even the emperor felt embarrassed. She really ate a lot. But she just felt hungry and wanted to eat more. This meal was, of course, unusual. Chuyang had used ordinary ingredients mixed with spiritual herbs of the universe to make it. Eating it would greatly nourish one's physical strength. Moreover, it could be converted into cultivation to the greatest extent and strengthen Tai Butian's realm. When Tai Budian was done eating, Chuyang sighed in amazement and gave her a thumbs up. Your Majesty, you are indeed an emperor. Even your appetite is like that of a sovereign. This meal of yours is enough for me to eat for 3 days. Bullshit. Tai Budian was furious. She had only eaten a little more. How was it as exaggerated as he made it out to be? This bastard was really going to ridicule her to death today. But she did eat a lot for today's meal. She usually only ate 1 bowl of rice. Today she actually ate 7 bowls and so many dishes. Tai Budian felt that her image was completely ruined. Yet there was still someone ridiculing her at the side at this time. She really wanted to strangle him to death. Have you recovered your physical strength? Chuyang asked. Almost. Tai Budian tried to circulate her energy and said, very good. Then let's continue. Minister Chu took out another cup of wine. This time he reconfigured it according to Tai Butian's current cultivation. Tai Budian was in the bathtub now. There was no need for her to come out. Once she finished drinking, they would start immediately. Seeing that Tai Budian had drunk the wine, Chuyang sat on the ground and placed both his hands on the 2 large bathtubs, one on each side. He circulated his energy to generate heat. Before long, when Tai Budian was almost done bathing, the water in the 2 bathtubs had also heated up. The night went on until the wee hours of the morning. Chuyang had thought that he would have an erotic night. But he really didn't expect that he would have to work hard for the whole night. To be continued. Chapter 12-15. Towards the end, there were basically no impurities eliminated. It was purely an increase in cultivation. But this was the first time Tai Budian had experienced such an increase. How could she not be agitated? No one would be able to remain calm with such a rapid increase in cultivation. Her Majesty excitedly circulated her energy over and over again, like a child who had just gotten a new toy. Then she entered a meditative state. She entered a deep state of meditation. Chuyang was really so miserable that he had a nosebleed. Looking at a peerless beauty, and a woman who loved him deeply, naked in front of him. Yet he couldn't do anything. This kind of punishment was even more unbearable than taking an aphrodisiac with nowhere to vent. There was still some comfort in taking an aphrodisiac with nowhere to vent. Because there was nowhere to vent. But the problem now was, there was a place but he couldn't vent. How depressing. But Minister Chu's dejection was quickly replaced by shock. Tai Butian's cultivation had soared. It could be said that she had a meteoric rise. Such speed made Chuyang feel terrified. That night, Chuyang diluted the wine for Tai Budian step by step and then let her drink it to increase her cultivation. Then he used more than 80 kinds of heavenly treasures in the tribulation space to strengthen Tai Butian's foundation and to complement the medicinal effects of Shui Leihan's wine. He even used the primordial violet vapor to open up Tai Butian's meridians every time. He also used the celestial chi from the heavenly golden hand to stabilize Tai Butian's primordial spirit and increase her cultivation. This process was repeated many times. Such a method of improvement and such a huge amount of resources were used without regard for wastage. Until now, on this heavenly continent, there were only a few people who could do it. It could definitely be said to be unprecedented in history. But every time Chuyang would feel a huge shock. For the first time, Chuyang had diluted Shui Leihan's wine very thinly. Tai Budian went from a 3rd-grade martial king to a 5th-grade martial king. The second time he dared to use a larger amount of medicine. In the end there was a whoosh. She went straight to the 3rd grade. This kind of speed made Chuyang want to bite his fingers. On the third time she went to a fourth-grade martial emperor. If someone were to see such an improvement at the side, they would definitely be scared silly. Such a thing could actually happen in the world. What was called reaching the heavens in a single bound. This was it. After the 100th time, Tai Budian successfully broke through to a first-grade martial saint. He would become a true expert. What Chuyang found most frightening was not Tai Butian's advancement in cultivation, because Tai Butian's advancement in her cultivation level was something that he had expected. He had diluted a lot of wine. It was so much that it was almost as much as what he drank himself. Even after drinking so much, Chuyang only managed to raise his cultivation level from the early stage of the saint level to the peak stage. However, Tai Butian had drunk so much of it. But she had been able to advance from the 3rd grade of king-level expert to 25 grades. This didn't mean that Tai Butian's aptitude was better than Chuyang's. Firstly, it was because Chuyang's cultivation level was higher. The higher one's cultivation level was, the harder it would be to break through. For example, if a martial king were to fight against an 8th-grade martial king, then it would be considered pretty good to fight against 2 of them. Moreover, a grade 1 martial emperor could defeat an 8th-grade martial emperor. However, there could be more than 4 of them. A martial monarch could fight against an 8th-grade martial saint, and a martial saint could fight against at least 58th-grade martial saints. This did not include special ranks like the Saber Emperor and the Sword Emperor. Secondly, he had already taken too many heavenly treasures. So, his body had naturally developed a resistance to them. However, although Tai Budian was the emperor of the world, she didn't have the same opportunities as Chuyang. Moreover, she had the help of endless strange resources that originally didn't exist in this world. The most terrifying thing about Chuyang was the bottleneck that Tai Budian encountered when breaking through her cultivation level. Every time Chuyang himself advanced, he would usually advance a few grades at once. However, the only thing that could make him feel the obstruction of the cultivation level bottleneck was usually the last one. However, Tai Butian had encountered bottlenecks every time he had ascended to this stage. In fact, he had encountered bottlenecks every time he had ascended. Every time she had to grit her teeth and charge forward. Chuyang was very depressed and very surprised. Others didn't have such a situation. For example, Rui Budong Dong Wushang and the others had also advanced by leaps and bounds. But they weren't like Tai Budian. 25 grades, 25 rounds of torture. And it was intensive torture. It was really difficult for this delicate emperor of a generation to endure. In the end, Tai Budian had reached the limit of what she could bear. She had also reached the limit of the medicinal effect. Only then did she finally stop. First-grade martial saint. Although Tai Budian had broken through so many levels consecutively. Although Chuyang tried his best to protect her, her spirit also felt endless fatigue. Even when she finally walked out of the bathtub, it was Chuyang who carried her out. Almost as soon as she left the bathtub, she fell asleep. She didn't even know when Chuyang had placed her on the bed and covered her with the blanket. And by this time, the sky had already reached the last bit of darkness before dawn. The morning court assembly definitely couldn't be held again. Chuyang could only hurriedly find Feng Qiliang and ask him to announce the cancellation of the morning court assembly. When he saw Feng Qiliang, Chuyang was shocked by this 7th madam. He saw that Feng Qiliang was actually covered in a thick layer of filth that looked like black mud as he cultivated. Chuyang patted his forehead. He was extremely speechless. He heaved a long sigh. Oh my God, he had neglected something. He had forgotten to tell Feng Qiliang that he wanted to take a bath. In the end, after returning to the palace and confirming that everything was fine, this honest chief steward of the imperial household drank the medicinal wine. Then, just like the first time Chuyang drank it, endless filth came out of his body. However, after sensing the miraculous effects of this medicinal wine, Chief Steward Feng was so agitated that his whole body trembled. He became even more careful, afraid that washing off these things would affect the improvement of his cultivation. He actually didn't dare to wash them off. They stuck to his body just like that. By the time Chuyang found him, there was already no need to wash them off. Because these things had already dried and stuck to his body, together with his clothes. And they were accompanied by continuous perspiration and that stench spread to 15 kilometers with the wind. The moment Chuyang went in, he was hit by the stench. He repeatedly retched and fled in a sorry state. With this kind of smell, even the most smelly weasel would also die from the stench after going in. Under Chuyang's disdainful gaze, Chief Steward Feng very awkwardly peeled off these things on his body piece by piece. Feng Qiliang was definitely a meticulous person. He even took a basin and carefully placed all the filth he had peeled off from his body into it to see exactly how much filth there was on his body. At last he saw that it was a whole basin. Chu Yang had long reached the top of a big tree and looked up at the sky. He took in big mouthfuls of fresh air. He couldn't lower his head. Once he did, he would see Chief Steward Feng peeling off from his body. Minister Chu was worried that he would vomit violently and fall from the treetop. Haha, after removing the 15 kilograms from the copper basin, these things add up to a total of 43 kilograms after drying. Feng Qiuyang's voice sounded, and there was actually some pride in his tone. They were all rubbed off from my own body, Qiuyang retched. Hurry and inform them to cancel today's morning court session. Then with a swoosh he flew away. He really couldn't stay here any longer. Feng Qiuyang hurriedly agreed. He was also dumbfounded when he looked at the time. It was already past the morning court session. He hurriedly changed his clothes and hurriedly went to inform them. However, Chief Steward Feng forgot that he had only peeled off those filth and hadn't washed them off. His body still stank unbearably. However, Feng Qiuyang himself was already somewhat used to it. In order to prevent others from discovering him, he had shut himself in his room and shut the doors and windows tightly, spending the night in this kind of smell. He had already lived in an abalone shop for so long that he didn't know the smell anymore. He hurriedly walked along the way. Chief Steward Feng, who was in a hurry, didn't know at all that he had caused a commotion in the palace. The eunuchs and palace maids along the way all covered their noses and rushed to a certain place to vomit after Chief Steward Feng walked past. What's wrong with Chief Steward Feng? Even if he fell into the latrine pit and didn't wash, it wouldn't be so smelly. Along the way to the main hall with the pungent smell, Feng Qiuyang said, "Her Majesty's message has arrived." All the officials stood solemnly. Then everyone sniffed together. What's the smell? Why is it getting stronger and stronger from afar? Chief Steward Feng carried a stench that could wreak havoc in the world. With a calm and rigid expression, he swaggered to the center of the crowd and said majestically, "Her Majesty's message is to cancel today's morning court session." In just a short moment, the old and frail pavilion master Li coughed and gasped for air. In an instant there was a foul stench. The pitiful pavilion master Li's eyes rolled back and he choked on his breath. Gudong, he collapsed to the ground. Chief Steward Feng was greatly surprised. What's wrong with Cabinet Secretary Li? Everyone looked at him as if they were looking at a monster. What's wrong? You're still asking what's wrong? Everyone held their breaths and retreated more than 10 steps as if they had seen a snake or a scorpion. Then someone directly turned around and ran out of the main hall. He walked for a long distance without looking back. Only then did the sound of vomiting could be heard. At this moment, the unconscious Cabinet Secretary Li suddenly got up and scrambled out. The poor old man's eyes rolled back and his goatee trembled. He kept muttering, "This old man stinks to death. This old man stinks to death." The military officials were defeated in an orderly manner. Chief Steward Feng Qiuyang had conquered the elites of the highest level in the Iron Cloud Empire's imperial court with just his own smell. This kind of achievement. It was unprecedented in history and would never be surpassed in the future. It could become a masterpiece through the ages. Feng Qiuyang was still scratching his head in puzzlement. Why didn't anyone ask the reason for the morning court session being cancelled today? But he didn't know that everyone was already thankful that they hadn't died from the stench. Who would be tired of living and actually dare to ask questions while enduring such a strange stench? During the morning court session the next day, His Majesty the Emperor discovered that there were a lot fewer officials. It was said that all of them had applied for sick leave. The remaining people all had sallow faces and expressions of lingering fear. They asked in puzzlement, but the officials stammered. No one was too embarrassed to say it out loud. They couldn't possibly say that they hadn't eaten anything since the morning court session yesterday because of the stench, right? It was also because of this that everyone came to a common understanding. Eunuchs don't have that kind of thing. Once that kind of thing, the smell was indeed unique since ancient times. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.